Hello and welcome to a special episode of the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello.
With Sean Bell.
Hello.
And James Farley.
Hello.
Exciting times.
That's about the most excited I've ever heard, James. That was good.
Yeah, what's happening?
I know, it was
energy there.
You didn't hear this, but before we started recording, when it was just me and James, he was singing.
Wow.
I've known James, how long have I known you now? 15, 16 years? More than that.
Yeah,
it's
been a long time. Yeah.
I've never heard you sing, and it was joyous.
It's because you played everybody's golf tonight. Is that?
Well, you know, I do feel I got a connection with Steve, so you know.
It was like real high pitched opera singing. No word, but it was just good to hear him a little bit.
Did
jolly.
he go woo?
He didn't go woo. I missed the woo.
No woos.
James, do you want to give a woo?
No. Can we?
Okay,
let's get with it.
Right. So today we're going through episode 3 of season 2 of Life is Strange. I can't remember if that's the correct order with Sean. I know he's pulled me up on that before.
No, it's fine.
We'll
it's like the Pokemon thing. I'm just letting it go.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah.
You're done with arguing that Pokemon should be Pokemon, yeah?
I'm done with it. It's fine. Good. It's fine. I don't care. It's fine.
You're evolving. So the plan is, I wrote so many notes for this while I was playing. I'm just going to read them out, and then we'll stop to discuss different choices we've made. We'll stop to talk about things we liked about this episode and things we didn't. So should we just get cracking?
Do it.
Are we all ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Good. Here we go. Right. List notes is what I've got at the top there. We'll read that bit as well. Opens with Gorillas. Strange choice in music for this series, but I love it. And love this song. Flashback? Oh God, I really do love this song. Melancholy Hill. Sean in his room. Daniel comes in and steals something. Right. So to start that, I mean, music has always been a very big part of Life is Strange, and they certainly took a big departure from what they use. It's say even from season 1, Before the Storm and Captain Spirit, it all had a very similar style. With Before the Storm, it changed it a little bit, made it a little bit rocky. It had some more well-known artists like Brody Dow in there and stuff. But for me, this series has really taken a bit of a departure from that. So we had the streets in the first episode. We had
Block Party.
Muse in the second.
We had Block Party.
Block Party. Yeah, of course. Fucking hell, don't mix those two up. Jesus. And then Gorillas, Melancholy Hill. And I love that song. And ever since playing this, 2 weeks, I've just been constantly listening to Gorillas music. It fits really well though.
Was this the song? It had like the Cher bit in it as well. You know, where it does the
what?
You know, it does the that stuff.
That wasn't the singing I heard before the show. Let me just explain that. No, I don't know what you're talking about,
Okay,
James.
never mind.
The shared bit. Oh, the bit that goes
No, but they did that thing where it's like if you like are singing and then you like hit your throat and then it sounds like it kind of goes like that.
Fucking hell!
Wow.
Have you heard music before, James?
I don't know. I don't remember that bit. But yeah.
But no, I've always been impressed. One thing that I've loved about Life is Strange, I've always been impressed with their use of music, and this just continues that trend. That song, while we saw Sean in his bedroom, just listening to some music, it was just perfect. And obviously, this is a flashback, and I don't know about you guys, but it really threw up some interesting moments just looking back at life before everything went to shit, basically. So Daniel comes into your room and he appears to steal something, and then you go chasing him. You play a game of hide and seek. You find Daniel and you get your first decision of the episode. So what did you do? Did you give him a shampoo or did you do stop hitting yourself? Now this is important, I think.
Right. So, of the two, no, right. But basically, I felt awful about the option I picked. I went for hitting yourself.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, because I thought, like, I don't know, whenever I've witnessed that or I've done it or I've had it done to me, it's been just, like, playful.
Really?
But fuck me, he used some force, didn't he?
Did he? I
See,
mean, we
I've
didn't
always
see it.
thought
Sean.
that's
Did
the
he
kind of
knock
thing-
him out? Did he with
Sorry,
his own
none
fist?
of you are mental enough to pick it.
Matt, what did you pick shampoo as well, right?
Oh, well, as in a Tommy Noggin. You know, is that what you know?
Yeah, but that's what I've never heard it called a shampoo before.
No,
So
me neither.
you're
I
right.
thought he meant
American
like
thing.
actually like fucking, I don't know, chucking shampoo in his eyes or something. Which
I've never heard it
get the head
called a
and
Tommy
shoulders.
Noggin either,
That,
to be
that
honest.
doing that while you're hitting yourself, I mean, that's the sort of thing that dickheads do. Like, I don't know.
Oh, mate, totally. That was it. That was it for me. I was like, proper dickheads.
Yeah, I couldn't work out why he
yourself.
did that. It's just a bit extreme, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
So what happens
certainly.
then?
Like the way he does it is really horrible. Like he grabs Daniel by the wrist and he's like properly, like basically just hitting him in the face, but with his own hands.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's really awful. I felt terrible.
So you
Which
should.
very much set the tone for this entire episode, to be honest. But
Excellent. It did. I did put after that. It's weird to see them fight like this, even though it's a flashback. And I guess because, you know, for the past few hours of this game, we've been protecting Daniel, and we've really given a shit. And to see them arguing and fight was pretty like, whoa, yeah, no, they were just, you know, brothers fight like that.
yeah, I was going to
And
say,
it
I was sort of surprised, but not, because it was like, well, like as adults, me and my brother get on really well. As teenagers and kids, like fucking no chance. Like we were fighting all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like,
But-
of course they were fighting, and especially like there's quite an age gap, and their mums recently left, so there's all sorts of shit going on.
So
yeah.
anyway, Daniel called me a dickhead. Dad walks in and asks what's going on. Now it's another choice here. You're either just goofing around, or he never listens. Was the quote that he offers. What did you go with?
Goofing around.
Do you remember? Sean?
I remember he never listens.
Oh, Sean, man, what the fuck has happened to you since the last episode?
Well, because I was like, no, I don't want to say, oh, we were just goofing around when I've just made my brother hit himself in the face actually quite hard. Because I thought, well, that's like trying to get out of it. That's quite sneaky.
Yeah, but I mean, if the option to not say, like, oh, I was being an arsehole and I made him hit himself, like, if that's not there, go for the nicer option. Don't
But
double
it's just
down
a
on your
lie,
anger.
though. It's I don't know. Just saying we were just goofing around just seemed dishonest.
Right, so you saw your younger brother, you made him punch himself in the face, and then told your dad that he never listens.
Yep.
Like, I mean,
No,
okay.
no, I understand that, like, obviously, you know, the implication that he somehow deserved it is kind of worse. But
See, this is the sort of thing I was expecting from Matt, because, you know, he'd have been like saying like he was trying to toughen him up or something because he's got to survive.
Yeah, I was just
No,
protecting him.
because this is 3 months previous. There was no survival, James. Get with it. It's a flashback.
No, but you're aware of the survival, so you were trying to toughen him up in the past.
I wouldn't
So
have.
that
Yeah, I wouldn't have done
you could go back to that cougar, get Daniel to grab his paws and start to make
Yeah.
him start hitting
Should start
himself.
working out.
yeah, if you do, like, there's going to be flashbacks throughout the series, and if you're not horrible to Daniel, then his powers aren't as good later on.
It was just for protection, guys. Yeah, no, of course. I said that he was just goofing around, and then I put, "I ain't no grass." Sean Bell's a grass.
Yeah, big time. I was grassing myself up though. That's what I thought I was doing.
No, that's not what you thought you were doing. There's
is.
no way. There's no way you clicked on that. He never listens. Oh, that's me admitting guilt. Like, there's no way. No way. You're insane, right? So then you move on to have a man-to-man chat with your dad. But I put basic stuff, really, just being told to look after my brother. I played nice, said the right things. I can't remember. Obviously, I didn't write the choices down, but it sounds like, you could either continue your sort of teenager, oh, he's such a dick, man, or you can sort of say, okay, right, I understand, I need to start looking after him more. I assume there's just something, I assume that all of us sort of went down that road more than we did.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, nice little chat. 'Cause
Everett.
essentially, I wrote my notes here. Basically, like Dad said, we had a chat, and he said he's proud of me. He says, I think somebody said I know it's been tough, but he's proud of how I've dealt with things, and moved on really. But it's a nice little chat actually after kicking off with your brother.
And then he tells you to go in and speak to your brother about it and try and resolve things. And I think this was quite a touching scene.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
I mean, Daniel was being a bit of a dick on the bed, but Sean walks in, looks around his bedroom, tries to find things to cheer him up. And then you eventually, I'm assuming this is part, like, you have to give him that watch.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I just put now he's your mate again. Fucking kids. Well, you know what I mean. And that was the end of that whole intro. I thought it was just it was a little bit unexpected.
There was a couple of other things actually. Did you look in all his like desk and stuff in his bedroom?
Right. This is a subject I was going to bring up later, right? Because this happens with the tents as well. Once you first get out of your tent, this is something that bugs me about Life is Strange, and I now know the rules that this whole, like, even from series 1 works to. Yeah. Yet I still can't do it. So it appears that during exploration sections, like Matt's talking about now, walking around the bedroom, or when you're walking around the campsite a little bit later in this episode, or when you're walking around Kate's bedroom in series 1, you know, episode 2 or whatever it was, when you're in exploration mode, no one cares about what you do. Like, no characters give a shit. So you can literally just go onto someone's computer and read their emails while they're sitting in the room, and it doesn't matter. Like, you could go through Daniel's drawers in his bedroom while he's sitting there angry at you and he won't react to it. Or you can go in and out of other people's tents and just go through their shit. Like,
and certainly, so in the case of, so episode 2 in series 1, like, you were supposed to do that. Like, that is how you solve the puzzle and prevent Kate from suiciding at the end.
Yeah.
Like, by going through her fucking emails and being like, oh, if I need to manipulate her in future, I'll bring up her dad. Like, it's always been a really awkward thing, hasn't it? And it sort of encourages this, like, voyeurism.
Well, not only that, in a game that's all about moral choice.
Yeah.
Like, that... Oh, the moral choice, yeah, but I mean, you go for her drawers. Yeah. Just go for her drawers.
You better spy on everyone so that you know how best to be nice to them. Like,
but here's the weird thing. I know that rule now.
Yeah.
Like, I know that rule. Yet in my head, I'm still like, well, I'm not going to go through the 10. I ain't going to go through his drawers. You know, I'm not going to do that. I can't break away from that.
But that doesn't make sense because that was his room.
Sorry. I misunderstood. Sean went through his own drawers.
Yes, like in his own bedroom.
Okay.
Yeah, because you find like the concert tickets and stuff like that, don't you? And like,
yeah.
What were the concert tickets?
Well, he was going to, or he'd been to a concert like recently or something like that. That was the
I think it was in the future actually. But the thing I found funny is, so he went in his bedside dresser and he found some weed, and the thing he said was, "Dad would fucking kill me if he found this," and that made me think that. In episode 1, when your dad's like, he's spending money on weed, and I said, no. Then I did exactly the right thing as he would have done, because clearly they didn't have the relationship.
We didn't know that at the time, Matt. So
was that?
You didn't know that at the time, though.
No, also, I mean, he's terrible at hiding weed as well. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
It doesn't matter about that. What I'm saying is, like, you guys assumed, that they've got like a cool relationship, they're tell each other things, but clearly from this bit of dialogue, that wasn't the case at all. So actually, that sort of that makes me happy about my decision.
Have you worked that out? That doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it doesn't work.
I'm glad we didn't lie to my dad, but here is, I'm so glad Dad didn't know about the weed. He would have killed me. But you're like, yeah.
Okay, so you lied to your dad, and he gave you fuck all money. I told the truth, and he said, "Cheers for telling me the truth."
Yeah.
So, regardless of what you thought of your dad, the right decision was still to be straight up honest with him.
Yeah, like, the only thing to learn from that is that, okay, at one point, Sean might have thought, oh, there's no way my dad will be okay with this, but he was wrong. Yeah. Rather than...
Yeah.
Like,
Whereas you've taken away from that, I just need to lie in every circumstance.
No, I'm saying that clearly he didn't think they had a relationship, so that's why me lying in that scenario made sense, because he clearly didn't think he was in that. So
you can't retroactively apply that to your own logic.
That's what I'm doing, Sean. That's what I'm fucking doing.
I mean, especially when we know the consequences of the other decision.
Yeah.
You know, he was totally cool with it. He didn't care. Oh, forget about that. There's going to be a lot of backtracking here. I think, Matt, a lot. But yeah, no, I mean, but going back to that point about going in and out of people's stuff. Do you have a problem with that, Matt? Are you able to do that?
It really does sort of break the illusion, because you would have potentially really like heart-to-heart conversations or something really big or upsetting or incredible had happened, and then your exploration mode, and suddenly then
you're opening their wallet.
Yeah, exactly. And in that second, you're just crawling around the edge of the room like X, to like open everything, read everything, and it does sort of. I almost wish you couldn't do that, because it just doesn't.
But you don't have to do that. So
you don't.
I guess
no. But
I guess,
I do.
But it feels like I'm missing out. That's the problem. Like, you're definitely doing the right thing. I'm definitely doing the wrong thing, because I know that there's no punishment for doing that, and it's frustrating that I can't break out of that. I guess there's part of me thinking that the one time I actually go and do it is the one time it completely.
Yeah, it goes, aha! Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, we got you. Why are you going through my bag? Because this is part of the game that. Oh no. You know what I mean? It's like,
sorry, Freddie. I thought I was in a virtual world where there were no consequences to me looking through your stuff.
It breaks illusion, but that's also how the game wants you to play, to understand.
I know, it's killing me. I really should do that, because I'm missing out on quite a lot, but I mean, not now because the phone's gone, but do you look through the journal all the time and stuff?
I don't, you know.
Don't
no,
you?
I haven't.
I
Recently,
think you do. There's like he does pictures and there's like notes about his feelings and. Every time you do anything, I go back to the journal and see if there's like yellow exclamation marks. And he's always written like, especially if there's been a cutscene, like 3 or 4 pages where he's done drawings and tells you sort of what happens in and around camp.
Yeah, but it doesn't add much. It's only just him describing what happened. It's like, I've just seen what happened. I don't need to like.
What do you mean? Give us an example, James.
Well, no, it would just be things like, we talked about whatever, and it's like, well, I know we did that. Because
but it just gives more flavour.
The purpose of it is for if you come back to it later to like remind yourself, I guess. But I wouldn't read it after it's just happened, because I just don't see the point.
No, it definitely fills in stuff in between scenes, definitely.
But it's like writing a diary entry and then going back and reading it again. It's like, no, I just wrote it. It doesn't make any sense.
But it adds more flavour to the world, James. I don't see what the issue is with that.
Well, there's just no point.
I can just imagine Matt walking out of a film and then being, do you know what? I can't wait to read the novelisation of
this. Poor Matt, you're getting
None of you checked the journal for pictures and stuff.
No, as soon as he said that, I was like, I really should be doing that, because I've done it once or twice, and it is quite cool.
Yeah,
but,
especially like if like at the start of the episode, like as soon as you start, you can look in the journal, and he's written stuff for the last feels like 20 days or 3. There's loads of journal entries and images and drawings in there. It's good.
Because I guess it fills in a lot of the blanks from the things you haven't seen and the time that passes between episodes and
Okay,
James.
So
James.
It's fine. That's no problem with that. It's just after you've written it, there's no point. It's just
after the intro ends, you seem to flash back forward, and Sean is in a tent on his own. Present day, but wait, didn't Mushroom just lick his feet?
I
remember this.
Can I just say something about the tent?
Go on.
Okay, you know that there's the picture of his dad in the tent?
Yeah.
Did any of you find that really distracting?
No, I mean, I noticed it, but I didn't find it
was just the way it was
Why?
like a tiny picture stuck up on the tent at the angle it was at.
I know
what you mean, a little passport photo.
It was just a bit, I don't know, I just found it
like
very
one day is he going to get like a tiny little frame for it?
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be amazing. Tiny little candle to go in front of it. So a dog licks your feet, but I don't remember, I remember writing that, but obviously it wasn't Mushroom or whatever, but I don't remember seeing a dog again, do you?
Yeah, there's a dog in camp.
Yeah, because you can go and pet it, can't you? And,
you can.
I
pet it
maybe
twice.
I did.
It was great, both
I can't
times.
remember I'm trying to remember from a couple of weeks ago.
Well, one of the first things I wrote when I woke up is that I felt sad after about that flashback.
Yeah,
because it's like it was just such a different life, and now you wake up and you're like, oh shit, I'm back in this new real world. That's.
I mean, you say I know what you mean, but also life in the camp, at first, doesn't seem too bad. Considering everything you've gone through.
This is like the second after I woke up. It's almost like if you're having a really nice dream and you wake up, you're like, oh, fuck, I've got work today or some stuff. It's just like, they had such a, they didn't know what they had until it had gone, really. And I woke up,
sure.
I started that thing, oh, man, it's sad what's happened to these guys.
Yeah.
My next note is just babble. It says, So some time has passed. We met up with those hippies on the train, but they're not here now. I think because I was just on a tent, and it wasn't there like
Hang on, this is like you're in the tent. Well, I can't see the hippies in this tent, so they must have gone.
Well, no, I think
in fact,
what it was is that
oh
there
my god,
was
the entire the sky is brown, and the world's so tiny, and it's just a tent. Thank God. Okay.
No, there was wasn't there a bit of a flashback where he starts talking about what happened between like the last episode and this episode? Because I remember seeing them on a train in this episode at the beginning. Oh, my memory's so shit.
I think you might have invented that, dude. I know there's the bit where he does
maybe
the intro bit where he's telling the story about the two wolves, which is really nicely done, by the way.
Yeah, I love that.
So I don't know if they mentioned.
So maybe it was in that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm.
What
maybe it's
wrote
just
here
getting
is that
mixed
the
up in my head.
journal filled in a lot of gaps with Cassidy, etc. Did
Did
you
it?
watch
Did
that,
it?
James, or not?
Which bit?
Did you go into the journal when you woke up in the tent to see all the gaps that have been filled in with Cassidy?
Nope.
Yes or no?
Nope.
Oh shit! I did check the journal at this point actually, and it said, "Woke up in a tent. A dog licked my foot. There is a small picture of my father on the side."
Brackets slightly weird.
Brackets. The hippies aren't here. Oh, it's the world's so small. And...
So did anyone? This is the only
So small.
the main the main problem I've had with this series, and it's not really a problem because it's obviously intentional and stuff. But so the first, I looked at the contents of my bag, and you see that you have like a fucking like $1,500 in your wallet or something.
Yeah,
like
that was a shock.
1,400.
Yeah.
So, but straight away I was like, all right, well, how am I going to lose that then? Because the two of you just being rich and then traveling across America with loads of money is not, there's no peril there.
I don't know. I think the police force are after you,
There
Sean.
is
I
that.
think there's a bit of peril there. I think you can't just walk into a showroom and buy a Lambo. It's not like going to be that simple.
You can certainly
You know what I mean?
rent
I was
one for a
like,
day,
that makes like that's there to entice me and be like, oh wow, maybe if we just carry on like this, everything will be fine. Whereas like, no, obviously I'm not going to have that money by the end of this episode.
I really didn't look into it that much.
Okay,
I don't know.
Like,
we're earning money.
I feel like this series has made me like really paranoid of everything.
Yeah, it sounds like
But-
it.
As soon as I saw the wallet, I was like, "Oh, thank God, we got money. No more nicking.
Okay.
Get on the straight and narrow now."
On the straight and
Yeah,
narrow,
but then like
working
within
at
a
an
week
illegal
you'll have double that amount of money, but at the
I was
same
also
time
like-
thinking, I just need that high, man.
I was like,
I just
£1.5
need that high.
That is a fuckload of Choco Crisp.
It's like those billionaires that go around stealing still. They still shoplift like a bulb or whatever just for the rush.
It's for survival. It's for survival. It's fine.
It is.
You wouldn't know, James. You're not even looking at the fucking journal.
I put also that stolen toy is still in Daniel's backpack. Still gutted about that. I'm really disappointed that you can't confront him after that one moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still there. It's still there. And it even says stolen toy.
Yep.
It's like, motherfucker. Right. Hippies are here. Right, okay. I'm just going to read what I've written down, and then maybe we should all read our own notes for this part of the game.
Yeah.
Here's what I got. Hippies are here, and what the fuck? She's just strutting around topless.
Yeah,
We
I've
live
wondered
with
about
them
that.
in the woods now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and then now during a... Right, okay, I'll come to that later. But
Yeah.
so yeah, what was her name? I can't remember her name. The character.
Shamefully me
It
neither,
wasn't-
and she is actually pretty great. Like once you get chatting to her and stuff.
Was it
but-
Hannah? Hannah comes to mind, but I'm not 100%
Could have
sure.
been.
But one of the characters, who's quite prominent in the game that we've completely forgotten, is just standing in front of you topless, and it was so weird. It was so weird. Matt, what did you have in your notes for this?
So I was just trying to find out if she was called Hannah. But get out of tent, topless woman. She's chatting with me. Perfectly normal. Look around camp. Perfectly normal.
Matt, James?
Just perfectly
I didn't
normal.
actually
have
write
something?
anything down because I was just like, oh, there's a
Too busy
topless
jacking
woman.
it.
I was going to say, yeah, your writing hand was busy.
Yeah.
So above this, I've put that cash is getting nicked, and then the next point just says in big letters, booby. So there you go. I'm 5 years old.
I will say this, right? I will say this. My favourite thing about this bit, I mean, I thought it was completely needless and weird. I'll be straight up. I thought it was completely... I don't understand why that was in the game.
Because it's just making a point about the sort of person she is. Like, she just don't give a fuck.
Is it?
Like, she
Is
does
it?
not care. Well, yeah, because it's
Right,
not like...
okay.
It's not like... it's not sexual or anything, is it? It's
Yeah,
just
it
No,
wasn't
only
gratuitous,
because the art style doesn't really lend itself to nudity that well, does it? Jesus. But my favourite thing, this is I don't know. I don't think I've sent you this, Sean. I might have done. But my favourite thing is watching streamers play this episode.
right.
And because you're not allowed any of this stuff on Twitch or whatever, and then completely freak out. And this is a clip that I'm going to play down the mic now from someone called Dashi Games on YouTube. I think he's quite big. He's got quite a big following. But this is how he reacted. Check this out. Here we go.
Which volume needs to be turned up? Is it mine? Is it the game's? Because you know is that somebody naked?
Hey, bedhead. Had a good sleep?
Oh, hold on. Is she naked? What?
Yeah,
What?
I did. Thanks.
Nice. Okay. I better hit the shower before
Yeah,
they use all the water.
Right.
I didn't know that was gonna happen.
Right, so what I'm saying, get on YouTube, watch full playthroughs of this episode, and just watch that bit. It's hilarious. There's people, you know, when Matt streams, it's a cutout of him in the corner. There's people that notice that this happened and then try and grab their image to like their video feed and just put it in the way. So you just see like this floating head fly across and cover up the boobs. It is fucking hilarious. But yeah, no, that Dashi Games clip.
When I saw it though,
is that guy naked?
when I saw it though, it was like I had a brief second of like that kind of like, is that what I just think I've just seen?
Yeah, no, totally. And then it's like wham, full shot.
No, I think
yeah,
the point was that it's just supposed to be very matter of fact that like she doesn't give a shit. That's just how she is, and obviously like
fair enough.
And by Sean's reaction to it, like he's clearly not like whoa, what's going on? And bearing in mind he's 16 years old, so you know.
And
so
you
obviously
can tell that he's been
he's totally
there
used
for a
to
while.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, Sean dealt with it better than you, Sean. You were like, booby!
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
He was quite mature
the
about
most
it.
mature. Yes, the most mature reaction.
So initially I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And then it was just like, oh no, the whole point is that the making is that this has been normalised, at least within this group. It's just not a big deal to them.
Yeah, and also they're sort of off the grid, and they don't have to listen to societal norms, and they can be who they want to be, and
And she wanted to be naked.
So the topless. Then you're sort of introduced to your environment. You're in a sort of campsite in the woods or whatever. Now, I know that there is stuff that I missed during this bit because I went straight over to the table and spoke to the other people sitting down drinking coffee. Did anyone else go exploring, going in and out of tents? Did anyone find anything interesting?
No, because I felt the same as you, Dave. I felt weird just poking around in people's tents.
Yeah,
So-
that's bizarre.
I didn't have any trouble with that, and so I had a look around and rummaged through everyone's
Which,
stuff.
honestly, I wish I could take the piss out of you for, but that's clearly what the game wants you to do.
Yeah,
so-
well, you learn a bit of backstory about each of the people and, like, you know, why they're there and why they're not happy or whatever's happened to them. So that was all right. Yeah.
Matt,
you know
didn't
where you can also
come
find
across-
backstory, James, in the fucking journal.
I'd rather live it, Matt, than just read about something I've just done.
What, live it by rummaging through tents?
Yeah, I'd rather do that and just read stuff I've already done. You know, it's
Or stuff that fills in the gaps. Anyway, I did go straight over to the table just like you did, but I also at points also explored all the tents.
Okay, well,
it
it
was a bit weird because I guess it was maybe Finn's tent. And you look in and he's like, there's like some books and maybe like some joints and there's like loads of condoms in the corner. It's like, loads of condoms. And
What, used?
no, because then Sean says, doesn't he? He's like, at least somebody's getting some action. It's
yeah,
like, yeah.
it's just like okay.
Okay.
Tell you what, nobody else had like one of those little passport ID photos either in their tent. It's
Wait,
just.
hold on. If they weren't used, why would he say at least someone's getting some
I
action?
was assuming, isn't he? I mean, we learn later
Well,
about
I guess
his
he's got the
experiences.
tools. I mean, why would you have them if you weren't going to? I don't know, actually. Yeah, so that was weird. But other tents you couldn't go in. You could just like look out on the outside, saying, "Oh,
Can you imagine that? Standing just outside. Aww. I want to go in and have a look at them. Oh, no, condoms. Okay, right. So, then you go over and sit down. This is what I've got written down here. Now, during a conversation about weed, She walks past in the background, topless again. What the fuck is going on here? That was just funny.
Well, I didn't
It
notice
was
that.
just
I don't think I noticed that.
yeah.
I mean, I'm
You're
not
just
proud of
chatting
my
and
initial reaction, but I was okay by this point, Dave. I'd got over it.
I was just like, we were sitting chatting, and then just in the background, you see her walk past again. It was like, what is going on? This is so bizarre.
Well, what I
but
found
then
weird
you get-
is like whenever it's like that area, and then like, Sean said, "Must find coffee," and I wrote like more like "must find brother." Where the hell's Daniel?
Well, I just assumed at that point that he was comfortable with what Daniel was doing. You know what I mean? He showed no panic in where he was. So
No, I just felt,
I
I
think-
woke up, he wasn't there. I was like, I mean, I'm sure he's around, but I'm like, I would like to know where he is, really.
So you have a rather terrible conversation about police and weed and stuff. I must admit, I wasn't really into this chit chat, but I suppose the most interesting thing in this bit was: did you make the coffee after having the last cup?
I did,
yes,
yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Good. We're all good
I
people.
mean, why would you not?
I didn't
Yeah,
know
I
because
mean,
I didn't know it was an option. I just did that.
There you
Yeah.
go.
They,
What are you talking
they
about?
bollock
didn't
you
know
when
it
you
was an
walk
option?
off if you don't
Yeah, I was
make
gonna
it.
say.
They didn't bollock me.
Same thing that happened to me. Oh, right, because you've established yourself as a prick.
Well, I've already been rummaging through their tents, so
Yeah. At least someone's getting some, and also none of you are getting coffee either, you twats. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if maybe because I like sort of interacted with the coffee machine first, and then I told them, and then they said, "Hey, you making coffee or what?" But yeah, I don't know what you got to do to not even get the option.
Yeah, I mean, but it's quite a popular choice to not make coffee, isn't it?
really?
If I remember correctly.
yeah.
Yeah, hold on. You made coffee for others after drinking the last cup, 50%. You didn't make coffee after drinking the last cup, 50%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, we're just better than average. This podcast,
Sounds like a
I
landslide.
think. Yeah, well, not quite a landslide because James don't give a fuck. Right. So I went straight down here to find Daniel chucking knives. Did anyone else do anything different?
and I did the same thing.
Yep, same.
Yeah, same.
Okay. So my notes say Daniel can chuck a knife like a motherfucker. Did you tell Daniel that he shouldn't play with knives? Anyone?
I think I did, yeah.
You told him he shouldn't play with
Yeah.
knives.
What were the options? I don't remember. Because wasn't it like
I don't know. I mean, my memory's not great.
no,
James,
no,
but
but was it no?
I'm-
Because
I'm
sure
assuming
it
that
was,
the option
It
was-
wasn't no, because no.
It's like
it was something.
okay to play with knives and not okay to play.
No,
knives.
it wasn't. It was like no, it was like the option was like I'm sure it was either something like you praise him for like what he's doing, or you're just like you shouldn't play with knives.
I was
going to
say, yeah, because I remember thinking, like, oh, right, so I either need to, tell him he's cool for chucking knives around or be a cop.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's probably it. Like, well done. It's so like well done for hitting the bullseye, or you can tell him not to play with knives.
Yeah.
I mean, I said well done.
So did I.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so did I.
Okay,
Good.
no, I told him to not.
Fucking square.
I know.
What? You've never been in the woods chucking knives, Sean?
No.
What
Should've
do you
joined
do
the
as
Boy
a
Scouts,
child?
mate.
What did you do between the ages of 12 and
I
16
was
if you were
a
in woods
cop.
chucking knives?
I was in the cops, but we never threw knives around.
Wow, you were in the worst troop in the history of the world. That's all we ever did. I put. I didn't say that you shouldn't play with knives. Sean's go. I was literally just outside of the bullseye and got mugged off. Yeah, that annoyed me.
I got bullseye
I
first
was like,
go.
did you?
Yeah, but when I did that, I assume it was like rigged to do that. But apparently it's not. Yeah, bullseye first go.
Yeah.
I might need to check that because I am sure when I looked at our stats, it said that you didn't hit the bullseye.
Well, again, you can't see my stats, you can see friends. But
Yeah, and you're the only friend on my friend list that's played it. Matt, are you lying to me
but
here?
basically on mine it just said you hit a bullseye while knife throwing. 56%.
On mine, it said you hit a bullseye by knife throwing, and 50% of your friends didn't hit the bullseye.
I mean, I've got a picture here. That's all I can say.
Okay, you've got a picture.
Well, I've got a picture of the results with my tick next to it.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, I'll trust you then.
You
I'll
hit a
trust
bullseye
you.
while knife throwing.
Don't
I mean,
trust you.
imagine not doing it. I mean, I assume it was rigged.
Pretty embarrassing. Yeah.
So I was just outside for the first throw,
shame.
and they acted as if I'd missed the tree. Oh my god, you're so shit! and then the second throw, I got it in banging. James,
I missed. Yeah, I missed the second one as well.
You missed the second one as well.
I thought everyone missed the second one because the second one was when he used his powers to make you miss.
No, it was the third one.
I missed the second one,
cool.
and then he was like, "Oh, you need to line up because there was 2 markers, wasn't there? There's like one.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that, and then so the second one I missed as well, and then they were like, "Oh, you should line them up," and then he did the thing, and I was annoyed.
What? They spoke about the mechanic within the game world.
Yeah, they say you want to
Hey,
try
line
and...
up the 2 markers. Like,
Yeah.
well,
No,
rendering
they
sex.
don't.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Press start for
Are
options.
you being serious, Jack? They turn around and they say there are 2 markers on the screen. What the
Well,
one
they
of
don't
the
use
characters
those words
says
exactly, but they just like I don't remember how it's communicated, but they tell you how it works.
Okay.
What am I supposed to say?
I
They
mean-
tell me.
that. Because I had the
think you were
same
lying,
result as you,
James.
really. But
What was weird about that? That they'd explain how
I
it works.
don't believe they've got Finn to turn around to you and say, "Hey, so
No, it
see
doesn't
those
say
2
it
markers
like that. It's
are
not one of the
moving
characters
around?"
saying it. I'm pretty certain it comes up on the screen in text.
Well, yeah, the text comes
Yeah.
up. Yeah, of course it does.
So sorry.
The way
I
you
never
were
said
talking,
that they
it was as
explained
if-
it. I never said it was like Finn turns around and says
I
whatever.
thought Finn had been smoking a doob. He's like, no, brother, just line up the things on the tree, dude.
Sean, am I wrong here? Did that not sound like what
It did,
James was
did
saying?
sound like that's what you were saying, James. Yeah, sorry.
Just imagine Finn turning to the camera, looking directly at you, going, "Okay, player,
Hey,
here's how you
Player 1.
please. Press start, dude.
Use the left analog stick to line up.
Well, I had more problems later on with the controls, but we'll come to that.
Of course you
Okay.
did.
Okay,
Of
we'll
course
come
you
to
did,
that.
James.
That you just dropped in there. Please,
Did I?
just got me. Yeah.
I just realised
went
I
and
did do
started-
something. I did do something before the knife throwing, but we'll maybe come back to that after.
What did you do?
Well, this is the thing I texted you about. So I went and talked to all the people in the camp before I did the... Because I think he might have said, oh, Daniel's down by the lake or throwing knives, whatever he's doing. So I was like, well, let me look around this area before I do that and progress the story. And I talked to some people, whoever I could, really. And the person I talked to was this guy called Jacob, who was next to where the water tanks were. And it was so funny. I had to put the pad down and because I was laughing so hard. Basically, I went to talk to him, and he was sat in one of those like little fold up sort of like chairs you might have at a festival or camping or whatever. And he was his body was absolutely motionless, but he was having he was talking like in a really engaged way. But his arms, his head, his eyes were just locked in to the chair like he was just a robot. But he was like, "Hey, yes, how's it going, man?" But his body was just totally lifeless.
I had a whole bunch
amazing.
of
Do you
like
think that
bugs.
was a bug?
I had loads of bugs this time with the
I'm not sure
episodes.
that was a bug. I don't know if it was a bug or what. It was so funny.
Because
I was like,
can I just
what's
say
wrong with you?
the other one I had was, when you this is like really going ahead, but the bit with the cutting of the weed stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I had scissors like just in the air, like everywhere, that were like just like cutting. It was very odd. Yeah.
I had a great scene where there was, where they're dancing by the campfire. It's sort of towards like in the last third. They're all dancing, having a party, and they're dancing around the campfire. But one of them was glitching out, and he was just like sort of going everywhere, like flying everywhere. The problem is, I wanted to save that clip on my Xbox, but that whacks it straight on your feed, which means that it's just a spoiler.
Oh
that,
yeah, real shame. Yeah.
Didn't want to put that on there, but it was fucking
Yeah, so I
hilarious.
talked to Jacob. He was like, first that was incredibly funny, and then I went and did the knife throwing.
He was boring though, wasn't he? That guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think
He
it was
was
a
a little
robot.
bit.
That's why.
No, hold on. No, he gets... Jacob is the religious one,
Yeah.
right?
I thought he was quite cool.
So did I. I thought he really later in the episode. I think he really becomes quite an interesting character.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that, I guess. Okay, I put got it the second time, talking about the knife throwing, and then I put the third time. Daniel fucked me over with his power. Next one's going in his head, and then I put, oh fuck, he just used his powers on me. I need to get on top of this shit. So. I want to talk about it at this point. So obviously you have an argument with Daniel about using his powers to mug me off in front of everyone. He knocked the knife out of my hand. I'm assuming it happens to everyone.
I don't think that happened
as
to
I
me.
was throwing it. No way.
I don't know. I don't remember that happening.
You didn't go to throw a knife. He goes, so you hit the bullseye, and then Finn goes, yeah, but Daniel did it 10 times in a row. Yeah. Can you do it? Can you do it again? So you go to throw it again, and just as you throw it, the knife flies off.
Yeah.
No, that totally didn't happen to me.
Oh, didn't it?
No.
Happened to me.
What, so you didn't have an argument where he uses his powers?
I did have an argument with him, but no,
What was it about?
again, it was like, so Finn left, and it was just the usual, like, you fucking child, you're using your powers again in front of people.
But wasn't that because he had made you miss the shot?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. In fact, fuck, I'm trying to remember now. I'll have to check. But
refer to your notes.
it didn't even occur to me to write this down. But no, I don't remember Daniel like actually being a dick, because I remember I was, if anything, I was annoyed that like, because I was just trying to give him the usual, picking the options for like, you
giving him the usual
Giving him the
dressing
usual
down. that
punch
Sean
him in the
gives
face.
him.
Yeah,
How many times?
I was,
Stop hitting yourself.
but Sean just went into full on like, you're a fucking idiot, you're using your powers in front of people, you're going to get caught, like being a real dick about it. And I remember thinking like, whoa, that's not really necessary. Whereas if Daniel had intentionally fucked me over, I don't think I'd feel so bad about it.
Well, this is the first point. So what happens? You have an argument with him, and he uses his force push on you. I'm sure I'll understand that soon. And he uses force push on you, and it's clear that he really gets on with Finn. And I felt this was where I picked up early what the themes were for this episode. We've spoken about him in the past for the past couple of episodes. So it seems to be a main theme. The first one seemed to be about moral choice with theft and when you should steal and when you shouldn't and stuff like that. The second one, the answer, Matt, was never.
Wow.
The second episode was more about what was it? It was your lies that you're telling people can affect people in really bad ways, and maybe you should think about that. With this, I felt it was more about, okay, Daniel is not necessarily going to be by your side. You know what I mean? Daniel is not an NPC in a game that is there to serve you while you're going about the place. You can lose him. It really felt like he's slipping away from me here, and I need to make sure that I sort our relationship out as a priority. That was the first instance where I was like, I need to get on top of this.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to focus on trying to mend this relationship that's clearly falling apart at the moment.
Yeah, like I've just written, Daniel fucking hates me. It was like a real worry at this point that it was like, oh no, he just thinks I'm a dick now, and I'm like the only person who can help, and I am making a total fucking hash of it. Like that was weirdly scary, that bit, I thought.
Yeah, it was.
It did feel like it was falling
because you
apart.
realise that he can. If you lose him, then
He can just
you
bin
lose
you off.
everything. Yep, totally. He's got that power. But then, you sit down, you talk to him, and you get your first major decision. The ones where it goes black and white, and the screen splits in two, and you have to sit up a little bit and take notice. And that was you get to ask him about the watch or not. So he's, while you're in the tent, we didn't mention this, but when you're in the tent right at the beginning, you see the watch on the side and Daniel's not wearing it. You get to confront him about it and ask him, what's going on with the watch? Which way did you go, Matt?
I asked him about the watch, yeah.
James?
So did I.
Sean?
Yep, same.
Yep, same here. I think we all thought that might have been an emotional win at that point.
But the way it's presented, it was like I was worried because I was going to ask him because just I would naturally say, "Oh, you're not wearing any watch," like just a regular part of the conversation. But the way the choice was sort of shown to me, I was like, "Am I going to say ask him about the watch?" And he's going to be like, "Where's your watch? Don't you love?" I was really worried that they would like flip it somehow, and so I was like, I'm going to get screwed here. In my mind, it's like a really harmless, "Oh, you're not wearing any watch today," sort of thing. I was worried, and the fact it's a big choice. I was like, what are they going to do to me? But it wasn't as bad in the end.
Well, this is it. I asked about it. Hopefully, it will remind him of before all this, and that I'm his brother. I was the one that gave him that watch. I want him back on side, and it seems like he's drifting away. He just said no. He's wearing Finn's thing now. What motherfucker? Do you know what I mean? I'm wearing Finn's thing.
Finn's cool, yeah. What was it like? Was it a bracelet thing?
Finn smokes weed. And,
This is made from hemp,
yeah,
dude.
it's like a bracelet. Look at the bracelet, man.
Fucking prick, wasn't he?
I mean, it's fucking hate Daniel. But yeah, I'm interested to know what happens if you didn't ask about it. I'm sure it's really anticlimactic.
Yeah,
then,
because
right?
again, like if you don't ask, you'll be like, well, I mean, I don't say this is a big choice, but the way they're positioning it felt like it was bigger than it actually was.
Well, I think, as I said, because we're talking about the themes of this episode, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm right, but this sort of backs my argument up that if the whole episode is about your relationship with Daniel, then that could potentially have a big impact, because you are highlighting the fact that you gave him this watch and he's not wearing it anymore. He's wearing Finn's thing. That's a big thing. But if you completely ignore it, maybe that whole slipping away thing
maybe
is sort of... I think that's where the kind of the needle is going back and forth in this game that will lead you to the end in a dramatic way. It's how strong your relationship is with Daniel. I think that's where it's going, and this, I might be overthinking it a bit, but that's what I got from that being a big decision, basically. So right, on the truck to the farm, it's off to work time, people.
On this bit, I wrote in caps, OMG, it's Cassidy, with loads of like love hearts and stuff. Really?
I put Finn is starting to get right on my tits. I can't remember what Finn was doing at this stage, but he was really winding me up.
As soon as I met the guy, I thought he's a dickhead. I wasn't.
I remember what it was. I remember you go in, you sit next to Cassidy, and Daniel, and then Finn goes, "Come here, Daniel, sit next to me." And I just like, oh, do you know what? Fuck off, Finn. No one likes a try hard. You can't give it the whole "fuck the world" or "I don't care." So they suddenly go, "Daniel, I'm your real brother, Daniel." Fucking hate that bloke.
There's stuff before that. Before you go in there, though, there's loads of stuff happens.
Go on.
Well, before you go on the thing, when you go off, Big Joe hit Cassidy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah. Which is a massive.
You do
moment.
what? Sorry.
But Big Joe hit Cassidy when he got off the truck.
Oh no, that happens. That's
when you get there.
No, that happens when you get off the
weed,
truck.
though.
Yeah, that comes. I'm not getting to the cutting weed yet.
Okay, cool.
Don't worry about that. Right, so on the truck to the farm, Finn is starting to get right on my tits. Do you feel free or like a dirty hippie or an outsider? I think that must have been a moral choice when you were chatting. They ask how you're feeling. Jesus, the driver of this truck is needlessly a dick.
Oh,
which
yeah.
he was, though, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he was.
For the whole episode, he was like, yeah.
He wasn't a great character.
No.
I mean, I guess you needed that sort of villain at some point, but it was a bit like... You're just sitting chatting in the back of his truck, and he's like, "You fucking kids, I fucking rip your fucking heads off."
Just telling everyone to shut up all the time. As if like he's got a migraine constantly or something. He's just like...
Didn't you have teachers like that, Sean?
Like your mum on a hangover.
I had loads of teachers at school that were like that. Like just
Really?
constantly shouting, "Shut up." Yeah, it used to happen
You
all the time.
fucking assholes!
Right, I said, where's this? Right, okay. Happy girl. Oh, right, I assume that means hippie girl. Again, I've not read these back.
Oh, the happy girl's back.
The happy girl gets a small smack around the head. Intervene or keep out. So actually, that was Cassidy, wasn't it?
Yeah. Big Joe hit Cassidy.
Right, okay. I don't know why I didn't know her name.
I wouldn't say a small hit around the head either. It's like it was
a
shocking
slap.
and
it was.
needless.
It was.
Proper slap.
Yeah,
I know it wasn't. It was a clip round the back
it
of
was
the head.
it was shocking and needless, and it was like
It was needless. Don't get me wrong. But did you intervene
I
or did
definitely
you?
intervened. Yeah,
I did.
Sure.
Yeah, I
James?
also intervened.
Wow.
And,
we're all
did
like...
we all feel silly about it?
No, not really.
Oh, she totally makes you feel
Oh, I
sick.
did feel
about
silly.
it.
I thought-
I'm happy that I did what I did. You know?
Yeah, me too. I just thought she's trying to like not lose face or whatever from the whole thing. It's just I thought it's
So it
Yeah,
can't
it says
possibly
he
be that
started
she's
on me a
capable of
bit and she
looking
called
after
me a
herself,
white
James.
knight.
Yeah.
She actually calls you a
Yeah.
white knight.
so.
Yeah.
I still think
So, I'm proud of my white knight status, actually.
But
what's wrong with
also-
standing up for somebody who's just been hit? What's wrong with that?
No, it was like even if it was a male friend, I'd have done the same.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
You bloody white knight.
No, I
James.
agree.
And Big Joe
Hang on, is
called
this
you
James
cheech.
pulling actually you're all the real sexists
Yeah.
sort of thing? Yeah.
Oh God.
So, this is the first time you meet. I forget his name, but I've got it written down somewhere. Who's
Meryl?
the main boss of the Meryl? That's it. First time you meet him, and my word, does he not make a good first impression?
No.
Like, just comes out, starts digging into everyone, acting like a bit of a knob.
He's a strange character. Maybe obviously we'll go into it more later, but he sort of went from one extreme to the other very quickly, and I couldn't quite make out what the deal was.
Well, because so in this first bit, I managed to have like a half decent little chat with him.
Yeah,
Did
me
anyone
too.
else?
Yeah, me too, yeah.
Yeah, this is what I was saying. This is what you get to. It says, now he wants to talk to Sean. Did you say you keep Daniel out of the way? And did you ask about the trouble the pot farm is having?
Yeah.
I put after this, I'm avoiding any sort of personal conversation with this guy because he's a fuck.
The thing I wrote here is
So-
I didn't enter into any friendly chat. I guess because I was fucked off that what just happened to Cassidy really.
Well, he didn't do it. It was the other guy.
No, but I was still like shocked and like fucked off.
Angry at the establishment in general. No, I got him to talk about his
Classic
family a little
white
bit.
knight talk from James there.
But
So,
yeah, I
I'm
got him
not
chatting about
tarring
his-
everyone with the same brush there, Matt. It's...
I was
Here
not
we
saying
go.
my friend
person
had been
that
here,
also
James.
works in the pop pot. This is funny. You two are going to be going at it for the rest of the episode. Come on.
James, at some point did you say, "Don't worry, I know the blade"? So
What?
I just had. Don't worry about it. We'll cover it later.
So yeah, you can get,
I think
you
that
can
was a
get
White
him
Knight
to
reference.
talk about his family a little bit.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem to mind it. Yeah,
and he does.
Yeah,
He
he does. Yeah,
It's.
yeah.
I came out of that conversation thinking, I don't know, this guy doesn't seem that awful.
Maybe not a total
from this.
dick. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's a bloody good boss. He's a great employer.
That guy with the shotgun, he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse. He's not Big Joe, and so he seemed like not that bad by comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just trying to run a business, It's just...
And a legal business.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough in the current economic climate. What can you do?
I've got here doing the work, cutting buds, little mini game, going on a bit. It does go on a bit,
Yeah,
doesn't
this
it?
wasn't
I
good,
like
was
that.
it? Did you? Okay.
Well, why?
Well, I just want to get my head down. We've had a bit of a chat with the boss. I'm just going to get my head down and cut as many as I can. And I was just like, I wasn't engaged in conversation. They were all chatting so much stuff. I just want to say that just shut the fuck up and let's just cut these buds. Which is
How
our
many-
job.
how many buds
isn't it?
did you do,
The
Matt?
conversation
I
that
did
was
10?
going on.
Yeah, I did 10 as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did 10.
I
Sean?
don't remember the amount I did, but I
Sounds like 4. Sounds like someone's lazy.
I got you trimmed a lot of weed buds, as did 95%.
Yeah, I know,
of
but
people.
by the looks of it, you only need to do 2.
Okay.
What was that? It's like 98% of people
Yeah.
cut.
It wasn't difficult, was it? It was just tedious, I thought. Which
No,
I
it
know
wasn't.
was
And,
the point,
the-
but
The only thing that wound me up about that bit is that the conversations that were going on during the weed, like the bud came, was just complete nonsense. Like small talk. I hate small talk in real life. I don't need it in my video games. It's like I'm just like, oh fuck it.
Exactly. I was just like, get my head down, cut the buds, and just get on with the work.
You've got to cut the buds, haven't you, Matt? You've
I
got to cut the buds.
Did you guys find the pen?
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yes, I did. Yeah, it was on the table right in front of you.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
it's just a collectible, but I was like, how am I going to like take this and is this going to be like a weapon later on? But it's just
Stab someone in the eye with this. It's,
I really thought, okay, I could use this somehow. I don't know, just stab
The
someone
thing
in the
that
eye.
made me laugh about the pen is that you pick it up and it goes, "Well done, you found collectible number 7," or whatever it was, and I was like, "Okay, that's the first thing that I found, but that's fine. I'm clearly not looking around enough." Right.
So then you go
right,
back on
that's
the
weird.
truck and go back to camp.
You do. Oh, maybe I've just skipped forward ahead in my notes. This is weird. It is very weird reading these notes because they're just babble. Right, on the tractor farm, we've done that. Cutting the buds. Okay, done. Finn now trying to be my mate is what I said. I can't remember what Finn did there to try and be my mate, but he was trying to be my mate. So we're back at camp now, yeah. And you get the option to help Daniel with the dishes. Did anyone take that option?
Yep.
I don't think I did actually. I need to look at my results.
You just mugged off Daniel.
Because I was talking to someone at work about. I know I didn't help Daniel with his chores. I think I was doing other stuff. I don't know. I don't actually remember there being an option like, will you help him or not? Because if there was, I would have taken
Well,
it.
he's doing the washing up, isn't he? So you can just walk up to him and say, "Look, do you need a hand?"
Yeah, at that point, I
totally
chatted with
helped him
everyone
with
now,
it.
did all the water tanks and stuff. So I just,
Yeah, I did
guess
the same
didn't
as
talk to
Matt.
him.
By the time I got there, he just finished, and then he just
Yeah, I
walked
didn't
off.
realise there was that
Okay.
until I saw the options at the end. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was doing
Yeah, so
everything else I could.
I went
Can you
over and helped him.
But at that point, I'd already
Can you
like,
see that,
done
Sean?
other stuff.
Can you see that? Can you see that relationship slowly drifting away for those?
No. I do
just
some stuff later on, and like,
slowly
we're tight. But before that, I don't know. So there's a conversation or something because I wrote fucking Skeekinax Coco. Someone must have mentioned like, I really miss Skeekinax Coco. So Skeekinax Coco.
The fuck is Skeekinax Coco?
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I
I'm
love
not
some
with you either. What's
Skeekinax Coco
Skeekinax
right
Coco?
now. It's like.
What is that?
I assume it's like they're made up like Lems, not Lemsip, sort of Nesquik brand.
I'm really missing
in my
some
mind, it's like,
Lemsip.
this is probably like a Nesquik, like a made up Nesquik brand. It's like Skeekinax Coco. I really miss. I love a glass of Skeekinax Coco. Oh,
I mean, I'm
no.
googling it.
Yeah,
I'm not getting anything.
After that, I then went and I then drew Cassidy. So I did loads of other stuff actually before the.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I did the water tanks after that. That was a little bit tedious, but okay. I wasn't against that. Yeah, so then it comes to the drawing. You get the chance to draw Cassidy or Finn. Who
Finn?
did you draw, Matt?
I drew Cassidy.
Who drew Finn?
I did.
I drew
Again, I
Finn.
didn't know that was an
Fuck's
option.
sake.
At this stage of the game, I thought,
Why would
it
you?
so obviously makes me want to. Right, this was my reasoning. Right, okay, and this follows it up. So afterwards, when Cassidy comes over after your drawing, I try to avoid every answer aimed at forming a relationship with Cassidy as it's getting cringe.
What?
And it was
Are you
getting a bit
joking?
cringe. Yeah,
I love that
it
girl.
was getting a bit. It felt so like forced.
Yeah,
you know
well,
what I mean?
that,
So
yeah,
at
but
that was my
time-
problem with the whole of this episode, to be honest. Like,
Well, we'll get
Yeah.
to that because I want to talk to you
I
about
mean,
all that
for
stuff.
me, the whole relationship between them two, it's a young boy's infatuation with like an older, edgier like girl that the likes of which he probably hasn't seen in school or wherever he's been up to then. So yeah, like I was talking to as much as I could.
I mean, my relationship with Cassidy changed as we go on, and we'll get to that.
does
but
it now?
At this stage in the this stage in the game, there's not the only one getting some. At this stage in the game, it felt like the game was really trying to force these two characters together, and I was kind of going against that. So instead of drawing Cassidy, I drew Finn.
what part
and
of Finn
then-
did you draw?
Just him sitting by the tree.
Okay, right.
Okay, filthy mind, Matt. I'm not always
I was thinking
about
like
sex.
face shot or. It don't matter about it.
What do you mean face?
As in like a
Will
close
you make-
up or landscape. It doesn't matter. Let's move on.
What the fuck
Let's
are you
move on.
talking about? Yes, a close-up landscape of his face. No. So she comes over and she nicks your notebook and that, and then I think every dialogue that seemed to make me. It's not forcing a relationship. I didn't dislike Cassidy at this point, but I didn't. I think that was it. I didn't want Sean to constantly go, I find you so pretty. She's like some confident girl, and she's like outspoken and all this. And every line that's aimed at forming a more than friendship relationship with Cassidy was always like, I just like you. I like you so much. And I was like, you're embarrassing yourself,
Yeah,
Sean.
but I thought that was totally genuine. I don't know how old is he meant to be, by the way. 16,
I wondered this.
8?
There's a bit of a gap there, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Because
know.
he's still like 16 at this point. Maybe he's 17, I don't know.
I reckon 16, 17. But like, all the dialogue felt sort of genuine. Like, here was just, he fancied this old girl and his,
I thought the dialogue was fine. To me, it was more just annoying that it's like, oh, he's met one woman who's roughly the same age. Of course, she's a love interest. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's literally like the first.
Well, yeah, but there was other. You say that, but there was other women within that camp that you'd spoken to before this
I
point.
guess,
that
but
it
it's
didn't
obviously
feel
but
like
you
that.
don't
better in the last
connection with her.
episode, though.
Yeah.
there was that, but also I just didn't find her that interesting, to be honest. As a character, I just didn't think she was very
to be
interesting.
fair,
I think she develops a lot throughout this episode.
If you're 16 years old and you
Exactly.
meet a girl who's got dyed hair and she writes and
Tattoos.
sings her own songs and tattoos and all the
Yeah.
rest of it, she's cool as fuck.
You die,
She's
you
the
think,
best
you're
thing you've ever
you think,
seen.
come on, you're a walking cliche. It's just
Oh, fuck off, James.
You wouldn't when you're fucking 16, James.
Biggest regret in life is not dragging James along to Reading Festival when I was 16.
Oh, yeah. You're all walking cliches, you bunch of
Just
Sheep.
You're all sheep. Go to bed now.
Oh, you got tattoos, you're odd. James, how old
This
are you?
is
I'm
a shared
15.
community, and you're all staying up far too late.
Yeah. Grow up. Why is his music so bloody loud?
James, did you draw Finn or
I didn't even have
Cassidy?
the choice to draw anybody. That didn't happen for me.
You really hate your journal, don't you,
No,
James?
you had
don't
the
look
choice.
in
You
it.
just chose
I
not
did.
to.
No, I did lots of drawings like during the thing, but I didn't have a chance to actually just sit down and draw a person.
I
Yes,
thought
you
that was like
did.
a
You
main
just
put,
didn't
like
take it.
one of those things that you forced.
Don't
I
keep
don't
up
think you were
doodling,
forced to,
James.
because
Keep up the
it
doodling.
was basically like you're in the camp and he's like, right, I'm supposed to go and meet Daniel to do some training, but then there's like a few things you can do, right?
No, I just went off to go meet Daniel.
I didn't know.
Okay.
I didn't pick up on
Okay.
that. It felt like part of the main game, if you know what I mean.
Oh, we never finished talking about the
really
chores, right? So I helped Daniel, and then I started doing the barrels, and then Daniel just came over to help anyway. So I didn't ask him to, and then I had the option.
You've got a good relationship.
Yeah, mate. Best pals.
I mean, I didn't ask him to because lifting barrels and that. He's a kid.
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
But then he
Was
just
on
came
once
over and
did
he offered
that.
anyway, and I was like, yeah, go on, then this will be a laugh. And he basically, he just like sort of makes it look like you're carrying it. And
Oh, what? Does he use his powers to sort of hover
yeah.
the
So
tank
you're
in
just
front
like
of you?
strolling through camp
That's
with this
brilliant.
fucking water bucket, like, hey.
That's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That's I like that a lot.
From my notes by Cassidy, I said, Drew Cassidy, she had a bad home life. It's sad. Chatted with her for a bit. Chatted with everyone else.
Matt's fallen.
They all had a bad
Matt
home
has
life.
fallen
Like-
head over
I
heels.
totally have, yeah. I love that girl. Anyway, chatted with everyone else, moved the water tanks, chatted with that woman by the campfire. She's a mystery.
What does that
Talking
mean?
about Hannah.
idea. It must be, yes, Hannah, yeah. And then at that point, I then went to training with Daniel. But yeah, I liked all drawing stuff.
All caps. Power training time. Here we go. I chose not to train on the other side, as I really don't give a shit if these people
That
find
bit
out.
was so stupid. It's like, hey, we can't do it here. There's some people here. Okay, let's move this massive tree trunk, though.
So that we're
Yeah, no,
effectively
yeah,
hidden.
That was
bit
where I
weird.
got stuck because I forgot that you had to like pull down one of the triggers to make him use his power, and I reset the game like again because I thought, what am I doing wrong here?
I deleted my save file.
No,
I
'cause it was-
started from Life is Strange 1.
Yeah, deleted my save file, and it just happened to see those nipples again. I better
I
delete the
started
game
Life is
again
Strange
and
1.
start again.
Where are you going with that, Matt?
Yeah.
He was saying that he started from
Yeah.
season 1 again. That was the joke.
Gag.
I mean, it was well worked.
keep
I don't
James.
see how
James.
it
You're gonna have
didn't,
to
it
roll
didn't fit
with
with the nudity though. Like I don't see where the nudity would have come in.
I was just implying you were
Later,
saying.
was
Don't
it?
worry about it.
Yeah, season 2, episode 3. I mean, yeah, I think at this point I wasn't really enjoying the episode that much, and we'll get to our overall thoughts of the episode later. But I just didn't really care about the group. So at this point, I was just like, "Do you know what? I just don't even fucking give a shit if they find out about the powers yet." Like at this point, it's just weird because I've kept it such a guarded secret. I think there must have been part of me also thinking that we seem friendly enough that, and they're outcasts enough to not go run into the old Bill. You know what I mean? And dob us
I
in.
was still
So
worried
at
about
this
that. I
point,
didn't
I
want
was
anyone
kind
to
of
know,
like,
even if it is a bunch of hippies.
fair enough. So yeah, so I've put I chose not to tell him. Sean did it anyway after our team. How? I don't know what that
but
means.
he basically says like, well, we can go over, but do you want to basically you get the option of doing like a wolf howl basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he says I chose not to train on the other side. And then I put, Sean did it anyway. Like Sean said, let's go to the other side.
Oh, that's right.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
No, you didn't really have an option. Argument. It's frustrating because there's no positive options here.
Yeah.
So you and Daniel have an argument, and I wish there was. I was really conscious about the relationship at this point, and I wish there was some options to sort of calm things down, but there just wasn't an option. It didn't feel cheap. It just felt that
It was a bit frustrating,
I mean, naturally, his character was angry.
Like, especially because the training itself went really well, and like Sean was being really supportive because Daniel's doing loads of cool stuff. And then it just went sour, and I can't even remember why.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't know why. I put. I know Sean is being harsh, and I want him to calm things down, but it's escalating. Daniel lifts a tree out of the fucking lake,
Yes.
then fucks off saying, "I'm not a kid anymore. He's a god, and I like him more than Sean."
See that bit, I really enjoyed that bit because that was like the bit also where you're just like he does that whole "I'm not a kid anymore," but then you realise it's that whole thing about like it's the child's misunderstanding of what power is and what it means, and it's just like he just thinks that like, strength doesn't mean that you're a grown up or that you should be able to make decisions like that. It was I thought that was really great.
And it's
See,
also
I just
like
thought he would have said that no matter what, like if he had the powers or not. He was at an age. He's at that age where he does feel that he's not a child anymore. So,
But he was trying to.
he's got someone.
That's true,
who's-
but he was trying to prove a point by showing how strong he was and everything by doing that.
Yeah,
and it's,
no,
and
you're
it's
right.
just-
And
Yeah,
of course,
you're right,
all
yeah.
that really does for you is you think like, oh my god, he is a child.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
yet what the fuck am I going to say to him? Like, what can I do to stop him realistically at this point?
That's exactly.
Like,
I was just thinking this is really scary because he's
Yeah.
got all this power and he's clearly not able to deal with it, and it's just
and that's no slight on Daniel. Like, no one at that age is like should be trusted with any sort of power whatsoever.
Oh my
like,
god, I'd be doing things way worse than that if I was Daniel.
I mean,
Sean would have died a long time ago.
I mean, even in Sean's position, even like when I was 16, I wouldn't have been mature enough to like. Sean is definitely very mature for a 16-year-old, right? Does anyone disagree with that?
I think so.
well,
He's all had to be, hasn't he? He's had to grow up.
Yeah, I think that's
he
the.
did that.
Yeah.
I think that's the point, isn't it? I mean, because you can see he's not actually that mature pre event. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, he's had to suddenly, he's got so much responsibility now that it's kind of grown him into a man. I've seen that transition, is what I mean. I think it's justified. So I put, right, we're at the campfire now. Someone has, and then I put in quotes, the munchies. Ugh, that just makes me cringe every time. Then sees a UFO. Did you make Sean smoke weed? I did, but regretted it as Daniel was there.
I did not.
So
I just thought I'm not going to do this because our relationship is already not brilliant, and I just thought I don't want to set a bad example, that kind of thing. So I didn't do it.
I don't know why I chose. That's really out of character for me, actually. I don't know why I chose to smoke it. I suppose I didn't want to look like a loser, but then then I didn't really think of Daniel being there.
Yeah.
I didn't really think of Daniel being there, and suddenly when you smoke, and then Daniel's like, "Yeah, give me a puff," and you've got to be like, "No," like it's that.
See, I didn't.
What did you guys
smoke
do?
or drink because I just thought it's just it's not great.
Same.
Really? You didn't have a beer?
Straight edge, baby.
You squares.
I mean, what did you
I
do,
was off my
Matt?
tits.
Matt was like down in ecstasy.
He was spinning all
They're not
sorts
even
of
in the
lies
game.
after that. It was
A couple of Becky's having a right old time. I had a smoked a doob and I had a beer and I was having a lovely old time. Yeah, it's funny because did you do the same, Dave? What did you do?
So I smoked. Well, yeah, it's in my notes, but I got drunk. I didn't smoke any more weed after that first puff because I felt bad about it. But I had a couple of swigs of my beer. It takes 2 sips of beer to get Sean pissed.
And it all goes like wobbly, doesn't it?
Well, he's only little.
Yeah, and I was like, why has that happened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's lager. It's not. I mean, I know in America that they're not like big lager drinkers. That's right, right?
I think
I
so.
think they are. They're more into their shots, apparently.
Shots.
Just whatever you drink out of
and-
those little red plastic cups.
Yeah, definitely sort of pub. But yeah, no, he got drunk way too quick. But I put everyone is telling sad stories. Suddenly I have to press RB to talk. This annoyed me as a mechanic. Like, so people telling sad stories, I'm sort of leaning back in my chair listening to the stories or whatever, and then all of a sudden I get the option to talk, but in order to talk I also have to press RB, and my brain just lost it. I just couldn't do it, so I missed every
were you
opportunity
drunk
to
in real
talk during
life?
other people's stories. I might have been. If it was a Friday night or a Saturday night I was playing this, I might have had a couple of beers before I was playing.
God.
Were you like interrupting when? Well, of course you were. That's classic Matt. Were you suddenly cutting into what people were saying, Matt?
I was listening, and then if there's like a gap, I would say something. But mostly, I was
If you
too
just thought of
buzzed.
like a killer joke when people are talking
I
about
was
the worst
waiting for
things
a
in their
great
lives.
pun.
You're like, guys, I've got a zinger.
trumpet noise.
So my dad, not appropriate, Sean. Sorry.
It was interesting,
right, okay.
just on the stats, so it was interesting that it's like almost 50-50 sober and wasted at the campfire, which I thought was interesting. I would have, I would have thought most people would get wasted.
I'm surprised it's like that because it makes it really obvious. I mean, you can't look around at anyone around the campfire with a fucking text not like taking up half the screen saying smoke weed, drink beer. I put Sean has 2 sips of beer and now he's pissed. I'm beginning to hate Sean.
That's the sort of thing that annoyed me. Is like, yeah, we're just having like a relaxed smoke and like a sip of beer around the campfire. It wasn't like we're gonna get fucked.
Yeah, it wasn't a party, was it?
Yeah,
it was just people hanging out.
The way it's like wasted or not wasted, it's like, well, it was just like a relaxing, nice chat with everyone around the campfire, and I happened to have a smoke and a drink.
Wasted is a strong word.
I was like, I wasn't getting wasted.
Getting a buzz
I was
on.
just chilling out, man.
I suppose it does it'll be interesting to see if it does have an effect because the next part was quite important. They asked you for your sad story, and in my game, Sean said that he couldn't tell the story because he was too wasted.
Okay.
So then Daniel told that story.
Shit.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
What happened in yours?
What did he tell? What story did he tell?
Well, he told the story about what happened to his dad and all that stuff, right? Daniel spoke. It was heartbreaking, is what I put here. Finn then piped up and says that you can't dwell on the past, etc. I feel like we're supposed to see how stupid that idea is, right? No, that was it. So everyone was talking. What was interesting is that each story, and this is again me sort of reading into the subtext maybe a little bit too much, but everyone seemed to be talking about their past and reflecting on it in not necessarily a positive way, but in a way to understand where they are at the moment. You know what I mean? So I'm really bad at this in my personal life, looking back on events in my life and reflecting on them for the good or the bad, but understanding that that's helped me get to this point, right? I don't like looking back and I don't like understanding the importance of the past. But that's what each of these characters were doing. And then Finn was like, yeah, forget about the past. Let's think about the future. And it felt like to me that the writers were saying, look, they were highlighting, that's just a fucking dumb idea. You've just sat down and listened to people pour their hearts out and either explain how they ended up where they are because of that, or explain the lessons that they learned because of their past. And then you've got this one guy going, and fuck that, like out of nowhere, and it sort of really popped for me at that point.
It's an incredibly hollow bit of wisdom, isn't it, from Finn? It's like...
I mean, it was... It was like, what you're doing there is stupid, and you've kind of destroyed this whole sort of conversation that was going
especially
on.
Like, you're in that group. It's like this mostly unsaid but fully understood thing that like you're only part of that group if you've fucked up somehow, or just if life has dealt you a shitty hand, or basically something's gone wrong for you to be there.
Not those other the travelling people.
I was going to say, there's the travelling couple. They've got no excuse. They're just
they were totally out of place, weren't they?
They're just like fucking poverty tourists, but that's different. So it's like everyone's sharing these stories, and it's like because we've bonded over the fact that we've all had a shit time one way or the other. And then, so for him to just be like, but hey, don't dwell on it. It's going to be fine. It's like, no, fuck you.
Live on a beach.
Clearly not fine.
I didn't like what he said, and it was really exaggerated, and I didn't like his character's generally pretty shit. But what I took from that was more like that. We've all gone through shit, but don't let that determine where you go from here on out. I'm probably reading way too much into
another way of looking at it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just really brash and a stupid thing to say. But everyone else is like, I've done stuff and that's led me to this place. I like to think he was saying, well, that's cool, but don't let what's happened to us up to this point define where you go from here on out.
I guess so, yeah.
But
Fair enough. I then put in capitals, oh my God, the game just gave me the easiest decision ever. So the decision was go to bed or get a hippie haircut. He always says happy
before
one.
that, like Cassie was singing, and like I'm not sure if it happened to you, Dave, but because Cassie was singing, you were basically like swaying. I guess it was because I was wasted. Well, Cassie sang in yours, didn't she? Sang
She sang in mine, but I
Yeah, I
wasn't
mean, she
playing.
sang on mine, yeah.
Oh, you sound brilliant and all that.
Yeah,
You're such a pretty voice, Cassidy.
You're such a beautiful singer.
You're the first
Yeah,
woman
I
I've met
can't
in the
remember. You
last
get an
6
option on
months. I
how
love
to
you.
compliment her.
I love you, you bastard.
Sing me another one, Castle. Sing it to
If you made any songs about me, I bet they'd be really good.
Yeah. Oh.
No one's ever written a song about me, Castle.
Do you know the Avril Lavigne?
I've got a feeling that James hated all this shit.
I did. I wasn't.
Am I
yeah,
right,
I mean,
James?
I'll talk about this later. But yeah,
I bet you were like, where's the nearest travel lodge? This is
no,
ridiculous.
all of that. A lot of it bored me rigid. To be honest, I didn't. Yeah.
James, have you ever been to a festival?
Of course I have, but exactly.
Has anyone
I'm
ever
not,
told you about a traumatic event from their past?
But I'm not 16. I'm not 16 anymore. And
What did you do at the
them,
festival?
I didn't find them that interesting. I really didn't find them
I'll
interesting
be honest,
at all.
right, I know where James is coming from, because this is how I get whenever I see like a TV program or whatever that's about someone my age who's having like love life difficulties. And I'm just like, mate, no, I'm past that. I don't care. I don't need to see it. Like that Love on Netflix. And it's like, oh, he likes this woman, but she's kind of dangerous and a bit unstable. And I'm just like, mate, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in grown adults being like,
relate to this
relationships
whatsoever.
are complicated. I don't care.
Can I explain like what it is with this?
Not for me. I have a
Exactly.
wife.
I've sorted
Sure,
myself
sits
out.
there,
I don't
all
need
smug.
fictional accounts of other people's problems.
But in Love, he will sort it out until it all ended really abruptly, and now he's sort of starting again. I thought that show was really good.
See, I just didn't overall like with all this because this is all like the campfire stuff, all that kind of thing. I just didn't find any of the characters in this episode as interesting as like Chris and his dad and what they were going through, or even the grandparents. I found much more interesting and like what kind of lives they had and stuff like that. But the Chris and his dad relationship was absolutely fascinating. Like last episode and like how that began to like unravel more about their background and everything. This, as I said, all of them just felt like massive cliches, and I just didn't care really about them at all. I didn't find them interesting. I just thought, this is okay. Yeah, you've all, bad stuff's happened to all of you, but it didn't go into like the same sort of. I just really didn't find it as interesting as like what I've been.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to agree with you. I mean, I like Cassidy mostly because I like the fact that there is obviously a connection, or they want there to be a connection between Sean and Cassidy. But the rest are just like so like paper thin characters.
I thought they were okay, man. Hannah, especially when I think it's a bit later on, you have a proper sit down.
Hannah,
chat with
you can
her.
have a heart, can't you? Hannah?
Yeah,
Campfire.
I thought she was really cool, and I thought Jacob was all right. And I mean the rest, I didn't really get to know the rest of them, like Pennywise and that the couple and stuff. But
the couple
overall,
were like,
I thought they were.
Why are you guys here?
There just
Overall,
wasn't
I
the
thought they were
depth.
pretty likable.
There just wasn't the depth of like the characters that had been in previous episodes. Like there really wasn't.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's why I found it difficult to get engaged with, because I just thought I just don't. These people, I don't care like about you because you're not really very interesting, to be honest.
I'm going to hold back my opinion to the end of the episode, actually. I put, oh my god, yeah, the game gives you the easiest choice ever. So Daniel says he's tired and he's going to bed, and you can either go with him or you can stay up, chat to the group some more, and get a hippie haircut. I'm really interested to see which way we went. Sean
Went to sleep with Daniel.
Okay. Matt.
I went to.
Nothing.
I went to
It's just we
tent
need to,
sleep.
because I specifically wrote that down and then had to change it because it sounds terrible.
So yeah, I chose sleep. Yeah.
So did
James?
I, yeah.
Yeah, you were always going to choose sleep in this situation. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was the easiest situation ever. As I've said, my fear of losing Daniel, not literally losing him, but losing him in terms of a relationship with my brother. Yeah, I knew that at that point, had I stayed up, it would have completely destroyed us.
Yeah,
but,
I couldn't imagine.
I went to bed.
I've already smoked. I smoked some weed and I've had a bit. Fuck off to a 10. I'm hanging with like the older kids now. Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing that. I was like, no, I'll go to bed. It's my brother. I'm looking after him.
What was the split on that one, Sean?
So this was 63%. Went to bed early, and then 37.
I
stayed
thought
up.
it would be higher. I thought it would be
yeah,
higher.
because like you say, this was the easiest decision ever for me. Because as you say, so you worried about your relationship with Daniel and stuff, but then also like I thought Sean's hair looked pretty cool a bit longer.
Yeah, I thought
so
it was
I really had no
absolutely
interest
fine.
in.
And I just thought,
yeah.
I'm not going to get advice on hair from Cassidy. I mean, have you seen what she looked like? It's just,
Jesus.
Barrel of laughs, James Farley over there. I said, okay, so the night ended well. Daniel and Sean ended as mates again.
Yeah.
And it was quite a nice conversation.
Yeah.
He sort of opens up in the tent, doesn't he? He talks about his anger. And you have kind of a, thank God, a conversation that you want to have rather than one that the game wants you to have.
Is this where you revisit the watch as well? I can't remember.
I can't remember
because
why.
I know there's a bit, isn't there, where the watch gets brought up again. I think you're there in the tent, and like and basically Sean's like, no, it's clearly too small for you. Don't worry about it. Like,
yeah, no, that is brought up again. Yeah, I do remember that.
and I just thought that was a nice nod to like Sean being like, oh yeah, no, you are growing up, and you don't need the trinket I gave you as a token, whatever. You're right, like it's Sean acknowledging that Daniel is like outgrowing certain elements of their relationship, I guess.
Yeah, and he wants a smartwatch. Like,
yeah, exactly, man.
I'm not spending the money on a smartwatch.
Yeah.
No, I want a smartwatch. If you do, I
You're
will.
not getting a
I will
smartwatch,
force
Daniel.
push you. I'll force push you into a lake.
You're getting a Casio.
Daniel, what's wrong with your flick flack? Just put it fine.
It tells the time, doesn't it? What else
It's
do you
water
need it
resistant.
for?
It's shock resistant. What do you want?
25 metres. You're not
Hold on, there's a flick flack like Lemsip. I'm sure I'm trying to remember all these weird words. That
it's not as good as Skeeky Neck's Coco.
Skeeky Neck's Coco. I then put, oh fuck, we have to go back to work, and then I put in capitals work montage.
No, this bit I was livid, right? So I had left the group to go to bed with Daniel because I love him and stuff. In the morning, he totally mugged me off by letting me sleep in.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's like, well, why would you like? He was literally on like the truck and like knowing full well I was asleep in the tent. It's like fucking hell. Why don't you say, "Oh, come on, we're going in 15 minutes,
Matt"? He's not there. That's not his responsibility.
But it's like, but he knew he'd already been in trouble with like the boss the day before. It's like, why don't you say, look, come on.
I just imagine the days leading up to this, Matt was smashing Daniel in the face trying to hit the snooze button. Like, it's just.
I just thought, oh, come on, we're brothers. You let me sleep in, knowing full well I'm on the edge as it is.
I just remember there's another interesting bit. So when you go, see, you got me really self-conscious about the phrase now. When you go to the tent with Daniel to go to sleep. So he had so for me, Daniel like opened up about how he's like fucking furious all the time. And he hates.
Yeah, no, that's what I mentioned.
So
he talks about his
that doesn't
anger
necessarily happen, does it? That's so 63% got Daniel to talk about how he's feeling, and then hang on, right? Sorry, no, this is weird. So 63% Daniel talked to Sean about his anger. 37% Daniel went to sleep alone. So surely that's just repeating the decision of whether or not. Yeah, that's weird. Why? Why that's
I'm assuming if you go.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go to the tent with Daniel, then the outcome is that he opens up about his anger, whereas if you don't, he doesn't. So, and a lot of streams that I've seen of this episode since, Daniel's walking around with a dickhead haircut. So
is it that bad?
I mean, what?
Yeah.
What's a haircut
it's
like?
bad. Yeah. Well,
is
it's
it
like a
mohawk?
mohawk, but like a wide mohawk.
Oh, wow.
Mohawk.
You're cool. I got a mohawk, guys.
So anyway, we're back to payday, but we didn't get paid, even though the trims were good. Daniel walked into Meryl's living room and got us fired.
I'll tell you what, so I wrote down about this because that whole bit I thought was brilliant, because it's like the whole like grind of them being together and like it really like wearing on Sean like at that point was really well observed, because it's that whole thing of like having to say the same thing over and over again, and then they still do stupid shit like that you're not expecting, and it's like, and that's it. It's like, you know that you leave Daniel outside, that he's going to just do something, and that's like, because my kids are like, they're that age where it's just like that all the time. You just say to them sometimes, can you just go in there, just don't do anything that's going to cause problems. Then you come back a few minutes later and they've done something insane that you would never have thought of doing, and it's just
yeah, I mean that's
just that's what I thought was brilliant about that. It's just like, you know, he's going to just like overcome somehow by that. It was brilliant.
Well, no, yeah, I think traditionally in video games, there will be a breaking point where he does just do what you say. But as we know, as all of us dads know, that's not the case in real life, is it? So you say the same shit over and over and over again, and they just go ahead and do it anyway. It's like,
sometimes though, it's brilliant though, isn't it? Because like you just think, why did you do that? Like what were you thinking that you thought that was a good idea? It's
my best example of that, James, was when Harry had a bike and he was riding it around, and it was like November time in the park, and there was like massive puddles everywhere, and he started riding through the muddy puddles, and I went, Harry, don't do that, because mud's going to flick up, you're going to get covered in mud or whatever, it's going to be a nightmare, and he just kept doing it, and I'm going, Harry, please, can you just stop, just stay out of the puddles on your bike, please. And then he ignored me again, drove into like this really thick puddle, his wheels got stuck, and it just fell over, and he was just absolutely coated in mud. Of course, burst into tears, and I'm just like, 4 fucking times I told you this, and you just kept doing it. Like, part of me is thinking, good, but part of me has got a crying, covered in mud kid to walk home with. You know what I mean? It was just like fucking
we just
nightmare.
had like this morning, like I said to Rachel, I was like, can you go and put your shoes on? We got to go to school now. And then I came downstairs, and then she was sitting down in front of the TV with her feet up, painting her toenails. And I was like, what are you doing? We've got to go, like, now.
That's the biggest fuck you I've ever heard.
And she was,
now it's going to take me even longer to
exactly.
put my shoes
She
on.
was like,
I've got to
dry now,
to
Dad.
dry.
Yeah, she was like, it's fine, no one will see, I'll be wearing socks. And it's just like, oh.
Exactly. So why'd you do it?
So Meryl was going to teach Daniel a lesson, but Daniel used his powers.
Wait, Meryl or
Sean
Big Joe?
said it was
No, there's Big
no,
Joe.
it was Big
Yeah,
Joe.
so-
It must have been Big Joe. Yeah, so he was going to teach him a lesson, but he used his powers. Sean said it was him, and got knocked the fuck out. World star is what I've written here. So, yeah, is that full
No,
score?
it's
or
a
is that an
choice.
option?
Yeah, you can choose
It's a
to,
choice.
I guess, leave it or take the blame, and I took the blame.
We all took the
If
blame.
you,
on it.
and if you leave it, then Finn steps forward. Big, cool Finn
Oh, does he?
taking the blame, yes. But no, I step
Fucking
forward
Finn.
as well. 'Cause,
Good. Finn. I like the fact that in our world, Finn is still a total fucking loser. You know what I mean? We've robbed him of that right. Right. Okay. I said big decision time. Rob the farm or not? Easy decision for me. Right. So this is back at camp. You have a conversation with Cassidy, Finn, and Daniel. This is when I say you, I mean Sean. And Finn has the idea of going onto the farm now that you've all been fired and robbing the place
There's
because
stuff
he's seen
before
as
that
safe
which
in Meryl's
really
front
annoyed
room.
me. It's like you go back.
Go on.
Obviously, like they knew about the metal lifting weight being like chucked into Big Joe's head, and basically I've written here we're all back in the wood and Daniel was showing off his powers.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Right.
why is this happening? And that's obviously where Finn got the idea to nick the safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. That's where he
I was
wanted
like,
to. He wanted to
well,
use
I
Daniel's
guess that's
powers
happening
to nick the
now.
safe.
Like the fact, like obviously everyone knew because of what happened in the previous place with Big Joe. But I was like, oh, now everyone knows, and it's oh god, yeah.
So at this stage of the game, who was in and who was out of what they refer to in the stat screen as the heist?
I mean,
Well,
surely
this is
we were all out, yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was out.
This is the thing that I literally spent 20 minutes.
Oh, really?
Oh,
this
my
was gone.
goodness,
Okay.
Matt. What are you thinking?
I mean,
How
that's...
did you spend 20 minutes? I was instantly.
Yeah, I was like, that's
no
not a good
way.
idea at all. Like, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah,
They got guns and shit.
I mean, in the end, I said no, but I was like, okay, I'm weighing up all the options. Like either way, I was like,
I mean,
we
to
can
be
get
fair,
money.
at least you made a decision. You're not one of the 9% who were eventually convinced to take part in the heist. Which is...
Okay,
Yeah,
Sean.
That's later.
So I think Matt is in that
Oh, really?
9%.
Yeah,
Oh, for fuck's sake,
Because this was the decision that made me laugh when I was
'cause
looking
that's
at the
later,
stats
but I can
screen.
explain that.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to
Okay.
that.
Yeah, but I
So,
spent 20
I
minutes
mean-
thinking, okay, like, you know, clearly we've already fucked up Big Joe. You know, we can't go quietly, you know, but I was like...
Let's
I
make
don't-
it worse.
I didn't want to do it because basically I didn't trust Finn at all. And he's basically seen that Daniel's got powers and he's basically going to, like, use Daniel's powers so he can get money and go off to his beach or whatever in Cuba or wherever he said. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it because he's blatantly just using us.
Yeah,
to
he's
get
being
his own
manipulated.
Why
ends.
is
I was
that
like,
even
I'm
a
not
thought
doing it.
process of like? I mean, you know that the guy's clearly not great. Why are you even thinking about it?
Well, I think it's good to think about it. I'd rather that and make a rash decision. And I weighed up all the options. And I
Rash
thought,
decision
No,
not
no,
to
but
put
hold
your
on, whoa,
child,
whoa, whoa, whoa.
sorry, your infant son in front of firearms. Yeah,
Okay. Well, I weighed up every option. I was like, okay, this is clearly like a massive, like, you know, fork in the road in this game. What's really going to happen? And I was like, no, I'm obviously, you know, the option after weighing everything up is no.
because
Here's a hammer, Matt. Either knock yourself on the head with it or hit the nail into the wall. What did you do? Well, let me think about it. It's not. I don't want to be rash here.
what pissed me off is that it was really obvious to me that Finn wasn't going to leave this alone, and he was going to try and convince Daniel to take part in it anyway. So I could see the logic if someone was like, yeah, do you know what? If this is going to happen anyway, I would rather be there. But still,
Yeah, but come on, it's not presented like that
it's
at
not.
all. With hindsight, yes. But
No, I mean,
there's
even
no
at
way
the time,
at any
I was
point
like,
I thought...
there was a massive conversation, and for me to say, you know, no, and he was like, you know what, I respect your decision. I was like, bollocks,
Yeah,
are you
dude,
going to
fuck.
respect my decision? Absolutely no way.
But you see,
No
also,
fucking way, Matt. You've just handed Matt an excuse on a plane.
No. I mean, I didn't trust him at all. And like, he was like, "Yeah, you know, whatever, bro. Yeah, it's cool." I was like, "Come on, I didn't trust him anyway, and I certainly don't now." After he said, "We can do it," he's like, I can't remember the words he was saying, but it's like, you know,
There's absolutely no way. There's no way you sat there and thought, well, they're going to go anyway without me.
no. I didn't think that,
way.
but I said this clearly isn't the end of it. I didn't necessarily think, well, he's going to do it without me. I just thought,
I know,
I
Matt,
just didn't trust him.
You were just thinking cash money, like the whole time.
That's it. That's all Matt's cared about from day
because he
one.
said that they need enough money to get to Mexico. I was like, well, this is a way to do it, but I was like, no,
Mate,
because this is
there's
way too much of a
way
risk.
to do it, but you could rob a bank. You wouldn't do that,
Well,
would
you
you?
would.
No, but anyway, I said no. The answer, the main thing is, I decided no because it was
At this
stupid.
point,
and I didn't
at
Okay,
trust
this
let's
it.
get
point.
to the convinced
Okay,
bit then. Okay. Right, so Finn's going to turn. I can feel it, is what I put here. So I assumed that Finn was going to turn on the group at some point. And I didn't really care because I thought I've got Daniel here and it would be brilliant. What a beautiful full stop to have Daniel push Finn off a cliff or something. I'd be bang up for that.
I've just written, if Finn makes Daniel do crimes, I will fucking kill him.
Yeah, well, this is it. So from that moment there, Finn was the first character that I saw sitting on a log or whatever. So I sat down to try and make amends with him, and I did make amends with him. But even during that conversation, he said, "No, seriously, that we should go and rob this place." And I'm assuming that's the moment, that's the conversation where you can suddenly become in.
No,
get convinced?
it's much later, much later.
Wow, I did not know that. Okay, fine.
But you can
we'll
kiss
get
him, apparently.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would
Well,
have had
this-
to have
this-
done up to that point for that to be an option.
Probably drawn him.
Well, I do. I know a couple. I know a couple of things here. So if you stay up after the and not take Daniel to his tent, there's it's awful minefield. There's a conversation that you can have about your own sexuality.
Okay.
And you can say, look, sort of Sean sort of says, look, I'm still young, I'm still sort of discovering things, and I'm a little bit confused. And you can choose to say that you prefer boys or you prefer girls, or that you like both. You know, it gives you those options. And I maybe it starts from there, but maybe not. Maybe that's the only thing that disappointed me about that is that I always saw Finn and Cassidy as very close, and I assumed that they would have. I was always surprised that there wasn't a relationship
But
between
in my
the
mind,
two.
there sort of was, because I pointed, I was like, I wasn't sure if like they were an item, but they were just like very, very super relaxed about it. I was like, am I stepping on anyone's toes? Like, that relationship was
But
weird
the only
to
thing
me.
that disappointed me about this is that, you know, you can have a relationship with Finn and you can have a relationship with Cassidy. It made me feel as though they'd made two of the same character and just made a male version and a female version. And then the whole idea of these two characters sort of made sense in my mind. Like, they wanted the same type of character to have a relationship with, but a boy version and a girl version. And it was kind of like, for me, that was like, well, they didn't have to be so closely, you know, they were both very alternative. They both had, you know, piercings
Stupid hair.
crazy hair and stuff like that. And I was kind of like, you know, I've seen it in games before where there's a love interest and the male version and the female version were just essentially the same character but just separated. And yeah, that kind of made me go, oh man, like, make them very different. That's fine too. That, in fact, actually, that's way more interesting than having them like quite similar. But then I'm only putting that down to looks, because actually, personality-wise, they did seem quite different. So maybe that's my own problem there. Like, but yeah, I wasn't surprised, but I thought it was pretty cool that there was this whole relationship line that I didn't feel that it was trying to push me down, and it was completely optional. But yeah, no, that sort of comes out a lot during that conversation if you stay up and around the campfire. So yeah,
Interesting.
It was interesting. Okay, so next thing I've got here is
now you
sorry.
basically walk into camp, because he was all on the edge of camp, wasn't he? Now you walk into camp and meet everyone else.
Oh, this is it. I've got tattoo time. So who got a
I got a
tattoo?
tattoo.
Me, I did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
We all got a tattoo. I assume we all went for the wolf.
Yeah,
I did,
although
yeah.
I did write down it looks rubbish.
Yeah, I've also.
Yeah. Oh my
I've just
god,
written,
what have I done? I've got the worst tattoo. of
Yeah,
all
I've just
time,
written
is what I've
tattoo
written.
socks brackets wolf.
I wrote, oh my god, that tattoo is embarrassingly shite. Before that, I wrote, you put, yeah, I'm getting a tattoo. I'm cool. Yeah, so cool.
I just had wolf tattoo looks shit. It was, yeah.
I knew it was going to be bad. The moment she got a needle and attached it to a biro or whatever it was, and I was like, oh
Yeah,
my god,
I
this isn't...
foolishly assumed she'd have like anything approaching the proper kit, but no.
A full tattoo gun.
Yeah, why not? We never know.
plugging it into the generator.
Do you take contactless? Yeah. It's, you sign these forms.
So then you get the option to... I mean, there must have been loads of things you could do here that I might have missed, so stop me if there was anything interesting. But then I went to meet Cassidy at the lake to go
Yeah,
swimming.
I did that, yeah.
I went straight there. I basically
did that?
ran there.
Turn up naked before the skinny dipping was even suggested. I said, why am I making Sean and Cassidy kiss now? I think this was a bit of a turning point. Well, I think maybe the tattoo
Wow, our
was
notes are
quite
so
a turning
different.
No,
point.
you see, by this point, I was just like, might as well. You know, might as well do that.
No, it was just, for me, it kind of felt that I'd grown to like her a lot throughout this episode. Like, I started off really thinking, like, oh, don't make me just like her, because... But I thought she did grow as a character throughout, and her reactions to things that I was doing, like, for example, the white knighting or whatever you want to call it, I thought that was really good. Like, I thought her reactions to that were really, really good.
Yeah, and the way she reacts
not what I
when
expected.
Finn suggests the heist as well, and she's just like, "Are
Absolutely.
you fucking mental?" Like she's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it made me like the character a hell of a lot more. And she clearly liked Sean, you know, not in a overly flirting way. She was just always looking out for him and stuff, and it felt like it had justified it at that point.
She was
whereas
fond
at
of
the
him.
start, I
It
was
was nice.
like, nah. Yeah. So, So, what was your
Well,
notes then, Matt?
you just said, "Oh, why are they kissing?" And my notes were, "OMG, we're skinny dipping. OMG, yes, I want to kiss her." And
So
then
mine was I would not do the skinny dipping. I was like,
"Have you not skinny dipped before, James?
no.
How have any of you?"
To be fair, I would not be up for that either in real life.
No, I've not done that, and probably would not be up for that
I have,
either.
yes, but a long time ago. Yeah.
Is it just horrible?
Well, I mean, there were loads of us, and we were all drunk, and it's like a after work thing. It was weird.
We'd all got wolf tattoos.
we all actually, yeah. But I've done ski dipping. It's good fun. But at that point, I was too drunk to really care about the cold and the shrinkage.
But you can argue at that point, and I'm assuming it's whether you were going ahead with the heist or not that starts the argument off.
I guess if you had said
Cassidy.
yes previously, then she'll be angry. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I think she asks you if it's a good idea or something. I can't remember. There was a dialogue choice there, and I was like, no, I told Finn to fuck off or something like that. And so the relationship was fine. And it got even finer as you went back to the campsite and she invited you into her tent. Who went inside? Who went inside the tent?
I did.
Sean?
I didn't.
Yeah, Sean,
did.
you didn't, did you?
I
Because
didn't.
checked. That's the thing that I checked because I was like looking at it and I was like, hang on. I went in the tent and Sean was
Right.
the only one of our listeners played this. He didn't.
Sean, you fucking cock tease.
So,
Matt, you didn't go inside the tent, did you?
Oh, yeah, I did. Oh, I went inside the tent, boy.
big time.
This is so weird because some of your stats are coming
they're
out
not my
wrong.
stats. Like maybe someone else on your friends list played the game.
No one on my friends list has played the game. You definitely played it on Xbox,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it was only 2 people that had played it at that time, me and one other person. You'd completed it by that point. It must have been you,
No,
but maybe it just...
Well, no, I mean,
it said 50%.
Well, I definitely went inside. I mean, I
Either
went
no one
inside the
else
tent.
has, or another 2 people have. I guess. So I guess all the
Sean,
stats on yours were either 150 or 0. Is that the? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah.
Yeah, but Sean, you missed one of the best scenes in the
No,
game.
I know because I felt really bad about this, and I went back in collection mode and just to see what happened.
Then you went in the
I
tent.
went to
Did go in the
collect.
tent. So yeah, basically, if you say no, it's really awful because she's just like, "What the fuck?" Like he says, like, "Oh, I'm just not sure," and she's like, "Well, you were pretty fucking sure in the lake." So what's happening? The reason I said no was because I was like, oh no, if I say yes, we're gonna like fall asleep, and then the heist is gonna go ahead or something, and then it's gonna be like a whole thing. Oh, you were with Cassidy, and you should have been looking out for Daniel. So that's why I said no.
Gonna fall
What
asleep,
about
Sean?
the heist?
Yeah, that's usually what
You're
happens to me.
sleeping in that tent.
The refractory period, mate.
I mean,
Just look it
also,
up.
and as we found out from that session, it was over pretty quickly anyway.
Well,
So
I was going to say, yeah.
That's what was so good.
yeah.
I mean, I've never seen that in a game. I've never seen a game address
Yep.
that so well and so
Yep.
bang on. It was like, I think, what did I put? I put, here we go. And now they've banged. Apparently it was awful. Because he was just like, I'm just terrible.
What is it? It says like, yeah, just says like,
fine.
sorry,
Yeah,
that
it
sucked or
It
something.
was his first time. I mean, you know.
I was thinking like Cassidy's so nice about it as well. Like it's properly endearing, that bit, I thought, for her,
Yeah.
like from her anyway.
It was just, it felt so
Yeah.
real. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I thought the
It
whole
was
scene
like,
was
I
perfectly
didn't expect
done.
that.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah,
So
so-
mine,
I thought it was going to be like Kevin and Perry when Kevin finally loses his virginity and then just walks out of the tent a different person. Like he's going to walk out in shades and go, "What's up, guys? Let's go to the heist now." I thought you said you didn't want to go.
It's-
Right now I'm feeling
in
good.
terms of like, yeah, the reality of losing your virginity, it's up there with. Do you remember that In-Betweeners episode? And I forget. I can't even. I think it's like fuck. I always forget their names. Who's like the main one that isn't the nerd in the In-Betweeners?
oh, not Jay, Simon.
It's Simon.
Will.
Oh no,
No,
so
yeah,
Will's
Simon,
the nerd.
it's
Simon,
Simon.
because they have different names in real life, don't they? Which I mean, I
Yeah,
know they
Simon,
do.
yeah.
They're actors,
They
but
do that in TV shows,
yeah,
don't
it's
they?
weird, isn't it?
But do you know what I
They
mean? It's
do
like one of
that.
them's called Will and one's called Simon, and then but their real names are the other way around.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, yeah. So the girl he's about to have
Real
sex
names
with is
are
like talking to her older sister, and the older sister just says like, "Look, you're probably not going to enjoy it, but just try not to regret it."
Yeah.
Which I think is perfect. And yeah, this is like up there for just like decent depictions of what it's like.
Oh, totally. And this is what I find really interesting now, because from here, this is where the episode took
Yeah.
off for me. You come out of the tent and you find out that Daniel's with Finn, and that's where the penny dropped with me. We're like, oh my fucking god, no.
You see,
Yeah, I mean, I
But
thought
here's
this- I
here's
was
what I
worried
don't
beforehand,
get.
though.
Can I just... No, wait. Here's what I don't get. So, Matt, you were eventually convinced to go on the heist.
Yeah, but it was much
So-
later into this episode.
How? Because for me, you went straight from.
I
do get another choice.
I think I know where he's talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
It's basically at that point. Oh, well, we'll get to it.
Right, so in your episode, Finn was with Daniel, and then you find out that Finn and Daniel have left to go on a
Yes.
heist.
Yeah.
But the
Right,
thing I wrote is,
understood.
so I wrote a few things just when we were in a tent, saying like, basically, I said I asked her whether she wants me. I asked her whether she wants me to come inside. She said yes. Also, where's Daniel? He wasn't by the fire. And I put we're fucking. And I put montage around the fire. Still no sign of Daniel. Oh yeah, and then
Sorry, you did what?
I wrote I said we're fucking montage around the fire. Still no sign of Daniel. So it must be
Okay.
And then I put Sean's sad because he spaffed his beans up her mouth within 10 seconds. OMG.
Okay, right.
OMG. Daniel's with Finn. And then I wrote something. I thought, oh my God, I know what they've done. I said, in caps, Cassidy fucked Sean to get him out of the way. I've been
Whoa.
done.
No
Fuck.
way.
I don't know. I mean, at that point, I was like, "Oh no!" Like her and Finn went together. She knew get Sean out of the picture, and I was like, "I've been done. I can't believe it."
I can't believe you
See,
thought that.
I came out of that and I felt annoyed because I was just like, I knew it was obvious this was what was going to happen. That it was like, by doing that, he'd have run off with Finn, and then that was definitely going to
I
happen.
mean, I'm happy to
But
tell
then
you that
he
it makes
would've-
no fucking difference.
Yeah, and then that's the thing. I was
Yeah,
just thinking,
he would have already have gone, right?
Yeah, that annoyed me. That
Yeah,
thing. So I just felt I'm being
I just thought
railroaded into this.
Yeah, I just thought, oh, her and Finn are in cahoots. Like taking advantage of the fact that clearly, like Sean likes her. I just thought, oh man, I was like suddenly instantly heartbroken. I was like, all this, and then, but that was at least what I was thinking at that moment.
So then you're introduced to a sort of puzzle section of the game. You get to Big Joe's
Yard.
house,
Yeah,
I
get to the
guess.
yard.
Lock
A
up.
yard. And you're tasked with trying to steal a car. Now there are three outcomes here. You either leave and Big Joe follows you, you leave and Big Joe doesn't follow you, or you leave and Big Joe doesn't even notice you're in there. So just breaking it down to those three before we go into details, what was the outcome for everyone? Sean?
So I sabotaged his vehicle so that he couldn't come after me. So I think he was alerted but couldn't follow us.
Okay.
Yeah,
Matt?
yeah, same. Yeah, I did that, and then he like appeared at his doorway, but that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, same. Right. Yeah. So I had that as well. Sean,
I was
James?
like a ninja. He never knew I was there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And I'm fascinated. Then, how did you get into that?
Yeah.
that
What you do
truck?
is you have to go. You go around the back of the truck and then climb onto the back of the truck, and then
Yeah, I
you can
did
use a
that, yeah.
screwdriver to open the window.
I tried
Ah,
that.
the
See,
fucking screwdriver.
Well, no. So on mine, I had the screwdriver. No, maybe I must have checked that before I got the screwdriver. But checked and it's like we can't open it. It's locked.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't have a screwdriver at that point. I don't know. I guess not.
No, I had the screwdriver and I did that, and he said the same thing. But there must have been an action, or you go back a second
Yeah,
time
because
and try it.
I was
guess.
certain there was some way it was possible, like to do that, and that would be the only way. And
See, I wonder if... So on mine, when I tried to do that, it broke the screwdriver. Like, he did it once, and he was like, oh, if I try it again, it might break, and then it did. However, by that point, I'd already used the screwdriver to fuck up all the tyres on the other vehicle.
Yeah, that's what I
So
did,
maybe
yeah.
that's...
I only did 2 tyres
Okay.
though. I knew that if you do two
That's enough, isn't it?
tyres, man,
Yeah.
you ain't going
Yeah, I did a
nowhere.
couple.
So
I did
Yeah.
all 4, and and then sneaked
Okay.
in.
He's a very efficient worker.
pops everything. Also, I'd love to know if this section was timed, because at one point Cassidy was going, "We're gonna have to hurry
Yeah,
up,"
but yeah.
and I was like, "Oh shit, there's a
It
time
certainly gave the
limit
impression
on
it
this."
probably was. I was
Yeah.
rushing around.
Yeah, so I panicked and smashed the truck
Yeah, me
window.
too. Yeah. Well, at
Yeah, I
that point, I
thought,
was like,
fuck
that's
it,
the
I'm
only
not
option.
getting
So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to have to do it, aren't I?
Yeah, okay, so it wasn't as varied as I thought it would be, but it's interesting to know that that's how it's actually done properly. Okay, so I'm stuck on this decision. Now that we're here, we've already fucked things up with Big Joe. Do I go ahead and rob the farm? My gut says no, so that's what I'm doing. Right, so that's when you change your mind, Matt.
Because at
right?
that point, I was like, no. And I was like, okay, we're not going to get out of this unscathed because we've already clearly fucked up Big Joe's cars. We're not like, oh, like slap on the wrist, like this is, I think at that point already, for me, the point of no return. And like they were already in the house. I think at that point, actually, they were already in like Mel's Mel's yard.
No, they're outside Mel's
But
house.
already there, and like
they're outside.
I was
Well,
like,
they're in the building, aren't they? But they're outside Mel's room.
Are they?
Yeah, they're in the building, but
Right, okay.
because at that point I was like, "Hang on, can't he hear us?" It's like we got in the house, and I was like, they were having a conversation. I was like, "This is mental." But I was like, it just felt like the point of no return because there were already damaged vehicles, sabotage stuff. We weren't going to get away with this.
It sounds like we missed out on a big bit of gameplay though, because there's this whole bit where you can crack into the safe.
Yeah,
and
like when I
get
saw the
a
options
gun
about getting the gun from the safe, I'm like, what? Where?
Yeah.
So I
a bit of a
was
weird
like,
one.
at that point I was like, oh, you know what? No point no return. I'm just going to do it. So I spent not quite as long, but also quite a long time on that one. I'm like, do I do it now? And I was like, oh, fuck it. So
Does Cassidy have a go at you when you suddenly decide to do it?
My notes were basically like, choice, let's do it or no fucking way. Let's do it. I said yes. Cassidy kicked off. Instant regret. I instantly regret that because she was livid and she stormed off. I was like, what have I done? Like,
She
stormed
left.
off? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
She
She
kicked off, stormed off. Instant regret. I was like, why have I done this? I've just had like an incredibly special moment with this woman, and it's like, and she said no earlier, and then I don't know.
A very quick special moment with that one.
Special. I was like, I regret that so much. Like, I was gutted actually after that. And then, it's like, my note is, oh God, Mel was in there. He knew we were coming. And
fuck, that really changes things.
So what happened on your
because
one then?
Cassidy not being in that. Well, in our one, Daniel ignored me, and blew the door open with his powers. And then Meryl walks out with a shotgun.
Okay, so you all said no, but he was like, "Fuck it, I'm doing it anyway." Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But Cassidy comes in with you because she's obviously a mate in that, and a lover. And she walks in and follows us in. So okay, discuss or obey. Did you try and discuss with Meryl, who is clearly obviously livid that he's found you all in his front room trying to rob him? He's holding a shotgun to you. He tells you to get on his knees. You can either get on your knees or you can try and discuss it with him. What did we choose?
I tried to discuss it with him.
Wow. Okay, risky. Mate. Yeah, I obeyed.
Yeah, me too.
Matt?
Yeah, I obeyed.
I also obeyed, yeah.
See, I was
There was no
thinking...
time to discuss things. He had a shotgun and you're in his house.
What was the discussion?
The discussion is, Meryl, please listen, and then he just bats you in the face, and then you...
What, you just like fucking
he just hits you with
hit
the butt of his gun, and then you get down. My logic was... Like, if the whole point is that I'm trying to show... Like, I'm not trying to tell Daniel not to use his powers, but I'm going to show him that it's not always necessary.
How did that work
Pretty
out?
fucking badly, actually, yeah.
Get smashed in the face.
So...
See, I thought that's quite a good logical decision, and that's fine. But when you first said that, my logic was, I thought it was going to be the most arrogant thing ever. I can discuss this with this gentleman.
I can talk my way out of
the economics of the situation.
Well, because especially because the Meryl's assumption is that like this was your idea and you put Dan up to it and stuff, and he clearly thinks less of you because he's like, oh great, you're getting your little kid brother to be a thief. I was hoping to at least explain this was fucking Finn's idea.
Are you gas?
Excuse me, it was actually his idea. So.
Well, because I'd had the conversation with Meryl about family and stuff. I was hoping there'd be some way of being like, no, this is still, I'm not a dick. Like I'm, but no, just got hit in the face with a gun and have a nosebleed to show for it.
Okay, so then you're straight onto your next big decision. Daniel's power, do nothing or use the power? Sean, you didn't do nothing.
I did nothing.
I also,
Sean, man, you really did.
I also
fuck
did
this all
nothing
up.
as well because I just thought I don't.
Wow.
I also did nothing.
The reason is because we'd already seen that he was not fully in control of what was going on with his emotions and everything.
Yeah.
And
Good.
Well, no, because it could have taken out everybody, and that is obviously
way
what
too
happens.
risky
But it's
in
like,
that situation.
Yeah.
No, fucking
there's a gun.
way.
He's pointing a gun at us.
The
It could go
shotgun
horribly wrong.
away from you.
It is.
And it's fucking dead. So my thinking was because of the incident with Chris at the end of the last episode. Like I was, because it's like the whole thing is trying to get Daniel to learn to control his powers and control his emotions, right? And that didn't pay off at the end of episode 2. And I was thinking like But is the twist going to be like, no, if you just fucking stick with it and you're consistent, Daniel will learn and it won't be a complete shit show? But no, turns out that's still a bad idea.
But the choice is do use the power, or do nothing. But in that situation, hasn't he got a shotgun at someone's head?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I thought was, I think who is it? Was it who's he pointing the gun at? It wasn't me.
He had the
I
shotgun.
don't
Well, kind of
think
pointing it at everyone,
I don't
right?
think he really
But
did.
he-
Yeah,
But
it's
no,
not-
I saw that. I thought he's not gonna point blank shotgun one of us at that range. I just didn't believe he was gonna do it.
Neither did
Yeah,
I.
because as we discussed, there's this sort of implication that he's not a total arsehole. I mean, he does that little speech about like, I hate doing this, but the people I report to are worse. And if I don't sort this out, then they will do worse to me. And I've got a family and meh, meh, meh.
I just didn't think he was going to point blank shotgun someone in the head.
Neither
as
did
we're
I.
all there on our
'Cause
knees.
No.
I just
when
didn't
he said
believe
like,
it.
you're gonna have to learn a lesson and stuff like that, you're thinking, okay, maybe he's gonna beat us up a bit or something like that.
Yeah.
Actual murder, I didn't think that
He's
was
not
on.
going to shotgun us at head of point blank assassinate us.
I didn't think that was on the
Finn
cards.
has learned
Execute us,
nothing. Finn's capability for learning has been severely diminished after this. So,
I mean, I don't give a fuck what you think he might do. The guy's got a shotgun
Exactly.
holding it. I was fuck that.
So
There's just some
let's
powers
talk
here.
so you were the only one, Dave, that chose the powers.
so
Yeah, no, I find that very strange.
so Dave
but there
is
you
well
go.
in the majority. So 84% told Daniel to use his powers, and Finn wasn't killed.
84%?
84%.
Wow,
So
okay.
10% did nothing, and Finn was killed. 5% did nothing, and Finn wasn't killed, which is interesting. I assume that's if you steal the shotgun, or maybe not. I don't know.
No.
Sorry. You can take a gun from Meryl's safe.
Slow
Okay,
the fuck
okay.
down here. What happened to you, Sean?
So I did nothing, and
You
and then
you did
Meryl
nothing
walked
and-
over to Finn and just shot him point blank.
Holy fucking
Yeah.
shit, Matt.
I'm just looking at my results here because I didn't do anything. Come back to me. I'm just gonna look at my results.
Okay.
James,
Sorry, say that again.
what happened when you
It just
did
says you
nothing?
did nothing and Finn was killed, and that's what
Okay,
happened.
so yeah.
He just got shotgun.
Finn was fucking
he got
killed.
That's why when I sent you that WhatsApp message, I was just like, "What the fuck is going on?" Because I was really shocked when that happened. Like really shocked. 'Cause
Full
I just
on
thought,
execution style.
Well, that's why you use your powers.
So on mine, I did nothing and Finn wasn't killed. I was part of 5%.
Okay, how did that happen then?
So what?
Basically, because what happened on mine is that I didn't do anything, and then Daniel threw the gun from Mel's hand. Does this happen on your one?
No.
Basically, so Daniel, my notes are Daniel threw the gun from Mel's hand. Sean jumped on Meryl. Mel's gun fell from his pocket, and he
Right,
picked it up. and
okay. No, this is interesting. Right. So this is in the very final page on the results screen. So, yeah. So when you tell Daniel not to do anything, he can disobey you. So
you've got a really bad relationship with Daniel,
Yeah.
then, Matt.
Sorry,
Matt.
is that what you're saying?
well,
yeah,
yeah,
so basically
that's what it must
So
be.
yeah, so you got 84%, which is Daniel used his power, got injured and lashed out, which is Dave's. And then you got 5% Daniel disobeyed, used his power and got injured, and then 9% Daniel stayed put, but then lashed out after Finn died. So it ends with Daniel going nuclear no matter what, right?
Yeah. On mine, it was Daniel disobeyed, used his power, and got injured.
Yeah. But what's also interesting, there's another 2%, which is Finn was shot dead and Daniel lashed out at Sean.
Yeah,
Now I
I
don't know
know.
about you guys. I thought Daniel fucking lashed out at me. But that's not what I've got. I've got
No,
the
I don't
9%
think
Daniel
he
stayed
lashed
put
out
and
at
lashed
me.
out after Finn died.
yeah, that's what I got.
No, he didn't really lash out at me. I mean, he lashed out, but he didn't direct it at me.
He turned to me
he-
and said, "You fuck everything up," and then went nuclear. Which,
I don't think he did that to me.
but according to the results screen, he wasn't mad at me. So, don't know.
No, mine neither. Mine was just
Weird.
he stayed put but lashed out after Finn died, but
Yeah.
not at me.
So I'm interested
specifically.
in as to what that 2% option is.
Okay. So in my one, you tell him to use his powers. I can't remember what happens, but you do. Maybe he does. Maybe he knocks the yeah, maybe that's what happens. He knocks the gun out of his hands, and then he picks up the pistol and he shoots, and it appears to graze his shoulder.
It
At first,
Daniel,
I thought, oh my god, he's shot.
But yeah, he's just
when it zooms out a little bit, it's like a scrape. And then he goes absolutely mental and blows everything up. And then you get that shot after everything, showing you that several people may be dead. So they may all be alive and just knocked out. But yeah, you could see that Sean's not in a great way.
Do you think it was weird how it
I don't
cuts
think
to,
you
like,
see
next
Daniel,
morning?
do you?
yeah.
It's like, I thought that was a bit strange. It's like that ended, and then suddenly it's like morning time, and
I don't think so. What makes you think
because at that
that's
point,
strange?
okay, so how long has passed?
It's just intentionally
Well, you don't know,
ambiguous,
do you?
I think, isn't it?
I was
Yeah.
that was all bit. It was all ambiguous. Like, where are we? What's happened? But next.
Yeah, and you don't know what time it is. Could be fucking well
I mean,
early.
Sean's
in the morning,
definitely
but,
lost an eye, right?
Oh god, yeah, that was a shock.
Yeah.
Has
Yeah,
it?
man, he's got a big fucking
so
piece of
basically
glass
he had
in it.
glass in his
Really?
eye.
I wasn't sure about
Right,
that, 'cause I looked
okay.
at it, I couldn't see that there was glass in it. I thought it was...
Yeah.
No, nor could I. It just looked like a cut to me.
Well, on mine it's like Finn and Meryl on the floor, not moving. Sean also on the ground, glass in his eye. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was very clear, like a bit of glass. I'm
Fuck,
not-
I wish
not
I
sure
could
if
go
that's-
back and watch that scene again then,
Yeah, have a look.
because I don't remember there being a glass in his eye.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my god, he's going to have an eye patch and all sorts of stuff in the next episode.
Right. Okay. So, right, that's where we
very
ended
quickly.
it.
There's
There was-
one other potential way this can go that we haven't covered, which is only affects
Go on.
like 1% of all players. So so if you sneak in and you get in the safe, you can take. There's a pistol in there which you can take, and then 1% of players shot Meryl, but then Finn was killed as well. So I don't know how that plays out, but that's interesting that that's an option.
That's interesting. But I mean, Finn just getting shot and killed that's pretty horrific. So I mean, because of that, it makes me feel as though Finn is probably alive in my game, because it'd be a bit weird for that to be on the results screen, but then
But
he
he's dead
still
anyway.
died in that
Yeah.
explosion. I don't know if that works, but okay, right. So then you get a short scene afterwards, which is I think is
before we
total
get to that,
bullshit.
so on my results screen it said Cassidy wasn't injured, so she was in yours. So but she was injured because of because of Daniel's reaction.
Yeah, 'cause she
Dan
was
just
there
goes
when
nuts
your
and throws
explosion,
furniture
yeah.
everywhere and blows the windows out and
Yeah, on mine, because she'd already fucked off because she was pissed off at me. She wasn't injured at all.
fair enough.
Mm.
Doesn't make you a hero.
So
Matt.
after the credit,
Yeah.
I didn't know. It certainly
just a big
doesn't,
hero.
because next time you see Cassidy, she's going to be well fucked off with you.
But at least she's not hurt.
Whereas ours,
So it worked out.
yeah, no, but she's hurt, but she's not angry with me, so I'm alright with that. Right, okay. So the credits roll. You get a short scene teasing the next episode, which is just one person we're not quite sure walking down
I
a
thought it was
road,
Sean.
and they. Well, it doesn't make it clear, does it? It's
I thought
only
it
a
does.
was
silhouette.
like tall enough for it to be Sean. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to try and guess at who it is, and you're hearing some voiceover from what sounds like a policeman, saying, you thought you could get
Yeah.
away
Did you guys
with
write down
it,
what he
did
said?
you know?
Yeah, I did.
No.
So he said, "This is it, son. You're toast. End of the road. No way out this time. We got a lot of time in jail for cop murderers like you. You're alone now. Alone."
And I suppose it's supposed to be ambiguous as to whether they're talking to Sean or Daniel. But then it seems unlikely that Daniel would
think
get
it
caught
is.
at
Yeah.
this point. Yeah.
Yeah, supposed to. Yeah.
Yeah. So, next episode's going to be a bad one.
It sounds like it, doesn't it?
How
But,
many more is
okay,
left?
so-
Is it only one
Two
episode
more.
left or two? Oh, okay. that's
Two.
good. Okay.
2 more episodes. So let's just give. We've been talking for a long time. That's what we went through. They're the decisions we made. Let's just give an overall of what we thought of this episode. I'd like to start with Sean and Matt, because based on what we've heard on the computer game show, you feel quite highly towards this episode. You enjoyed it.
I did, rather. Yeah, I did really enjoy it. I think, I was saying this week on the show, sort of thinking back over it, there are some missed opportunities in that they use this setting of this illegal weed farm and they sort of comment on like like it's being legalized in a lot of places, and now legal farms are cropping up, and how that actually doesn't really sit very well with people who for whatever reason are sort of flying under the radar, and it's a good way to get work, working at the illegal farms, and that's all quite interesting, but it doesn't really get into it as much as maybe it could, but then maybe it was like a pacing issue or whatever.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't. Well, maybe it doesn't need to. I mean, it makes that point, and then that's kind of it, isn't it? I mean, what else do you want to say about it?
And I think it doesn't really it could play more on the fact that when you have sort of dropped out of society in this way, and you're working at a remote illegal pot farm, if you die, that's it. No one comes looking for you. No one reports it. No one investigates it. Yeah. There's no because it a lot of it's oh yeah, we've got this little family, and Big Joe's kind of a dick, but whatever. It's all quite chummy and friendly, and then there's no sense of oh no, actually, if any of us could die, and there would be no consequences, basically.
Wait, I not once did I think that whole situation was
Did
chummy
you not?
or friendly.
I thought it was pretty.
No, I mean Meryl was a complete dick to me. They're walking around with guns.
Yeah, sorry. So Meryl's not great either,
hostile.
but all the people in the camp seemed like a troubled but ultimately decent bunch. I thought, apart from Finn, who's a dick.
Yeah,
it was. But then equally, I appreciate the fact that it was one of the few times in this series so far where I did just feel relatively safe. There's if anyone's interested in this stuff, I haven't seen it, but there's a series on Netflix called Murder Mountain, which is about illegal pot farms in the same place that this is set. So it's obviously an inspiration for them. But that's people are getting murdered and disappearing all the time. That, it's a fairly regular occurrence. That's basically what the show's about. It's a true crime documentary. And that's not really played upon, or at least there's mentions of Big Joe carries a gun, or so does Meryl, but there's no and you do realise that if any of us get shot, there's literally no consequences for anyone. They can just do whatever the fuck they want with us. That's not really played upon, which
no, it's not.
I mean, I don't. It's not a major criticism. Yeah. It's just in hindsight, it's they could have put a bit more of that fear in, I suppose.
I definitely got that sense, though.
Yeah,
if something went wrong, that'd be it.
It'd
be, exactly as you said. No one's going to be coming looking for us.
Yeah.
No, but I see what Sean's saying. I think they took the easy route out of just making them swear and be nasty a lot, rather than addressing the real actual fear of fucking hell. You're in a lawless area here, and that's a more interesting way of introducing peril into that situation, rather than just having someone go, "Shut up, you pussy."
Yeah, Meryl was an interesting character, because when I first saw him, I was like, okay, this is a Gus Fring style character, from Breaking Bad. He's quite quiet, but actually he's clearly got a killer edge to him. And they had a couple of conversations. I was like, oh, maybe he's friendly, but also he's he's not going to he's not going to allow people to mug him off and break the rules and stuff. But the two sides of him sort of flipped so much. I didn't really understand who he was. What if he was fundamentally a nice person, but he's dealing with it and trying to deal with you by looking like a hard man. I don't know. He's a weird character. Maybe it's because I can't really have the subtlety in 2 or 3 hours that someone like Gus Fring has over a whole season. You understand the different foibles of that character. But that's the sort of vibe I think they wanted to have.
But for that reason, he was one of the only characters that I did find interesting this episode. Because especially after you have conversations with him, you're not entirely sure which way he's going to go with everything. And that's why I found him more interesting.
Yeah, I would have great if he was in for more episodes, because I think they could have done more of him. But as it was with such a short space of time, I guess so. Such a short space of time, it's kind of good guy, bad guy, kind of good guy, and I didn't really gel with him as much.
Yeah, and especially compared to Big Joe, who is so fucking one note. But then there's a couple of bits where he's like,
"Did I do good, boss?"
There's a couple of bits, he makes the odd comment do you think I fucking want to be here or whatever.
And he was playing a hot dog game, wasn't he, on his phone?
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought maybe they were going to elaborate on that. There's some harsh reason why he's forced to be there, and he's not really a dick either. But actually, that's never elaborated upon, as far as I'm aware.
Do you think I want to be here? Was an actual line that he used.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
I've literally no reason to think otherwise. So yeah.
Matt, you really enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, I thought it was
didn't you?
excellent. I enjoyed it way more than episode 2. Sorry, I don't quite know if it's up there with episode 1, but I thought it was excellent throughout. Actually, I mean, you said it started off quite slow. I loved the way it started, and I think the highlight is the relationship between Cassidy and Sean. I thought was excellent. I really got all those same sort of emotions and feelings that it was trying to convey. I thought the writing was excellent because I think that's exactly how Sean would have acted and been like impressed and sort of I mean, but besotted is the wrong word, but like taken in by the charm and the edginess and the alternativeness of Cassidy and guitar and the tattoos and stuff. I thought that was really, really well done, and the whole skinny dipping section and in the tent, I thought was excellently done. And like the way it really ramped up with those last few major decisions, which it took me a while to really get my head round about deciding which way I should go, one way or the other. And the last like half an hour was like non-stop really, and I thought it was excellent. Really, really good episode, and I can't wait for the next one.
Well, James, you've touched on what you thought of it, and I think I'd like to. I mean, I completely agree with James. I thought this was the weakest episode of the 3 so
really?
far
Okay.
by quite a distance. Yeah, by quite a distance. I think mainly because when I'm looking at how the journey's gone, it feels like the first episode was really establishing some characters. The second episode was introducing characters and establishing those. The third, I didn't feel that we needed a whole new cast of characters again, and it felt like the build up to those characters wasn't as strong. There was a lot more cliche nonsense in there than I wanted, and it made me not. You think about how many characters were in that camp. How many did you actually come away giving a shit about?
I mean,
there weren't
none
many.
of them, really.
Yeah.
No,
Apart from
and
Cassidy.
that sort of killed me a bit because, you spend an hour and a half, 2 hours with the grandparents, and by the time you're leaving to rush out of that house, you really gave a shit about Chris.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You really gave a shit about his situation. You really gave a shit about the grandparents. And it felt like on this, although with episode 2 it was really slow, the character building was done so well that by the end of it you really gave a shit about the people that you couldn't see anymore. Whereas here it feels like a very similar sort of beat to the episode to the last one, but by the end of it didn't quite nail that sort of relationship that I wanted. I mean, I certainly enjoyed Cassidy way more by the end of the episode than I did by the start, but nowhere near as much as I did Chris and his dad and the grandparents. And it felt like, okay, we're episode 3 episodes in now. We've established a lot of characters in the first 2 episodes, and all right, there's understandable reasons why like Grandma can't just walking about again, and the granddad definitely couldn't walk about for Sean. If you remember, he's got no legs anymore. But you understand why they couldn't have those characters in this episode, but it felt like that they were establishing a whole new group, and it was kind of like I don't actually give a shit about a lot of these people, it felt in the whole scale of all the episodes I've played of Life is Strange, this would be quite low for me. I think the last 30 minutes were really good, but the build up to that. And because I didn't give a shit about Finn, that whole standoff lost its edge a little bit. I didn't want Cassidy to die. I certainly didn't want any harm to come to Daniel or Sean. But because Finn was there, I didn't really give a shit about him. I didn't really give a shit about Meryl or Big Joe. And it was kind of like, man, this didn't have the connection with me like Life is Strange usually does. I'm not saying it was bad and I didn't enjoy playing it. What I'm saying is that the stuff that Life is Strange does so well didn't seem to shine in this one. And I was a tad disappointed. As I said, I've never totally hated anything that Life is Strange has done. I still think the weakest episode of anything that I've played of Life is Strange is the third episode of Before the Storm. But I did feel that this was quite low because it didn't manage to hit the highs that the previous ones don't. I don't mind being introduced to a new cast of characters on episode 3. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have done that. I'm just saying that if you're going to do that, they've got to be better characters, in my opinion, or at least I've got to have a better emotional connection with some of them. And I feel it kind of failed to do that, other than with Cassidy. I feel that, it didn't quite reach it. And it was a long time before any real sort of action took place. It was, 2.5 hours, that episode, and it was only the last 10, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour that really started taking off.
Yeah, it's only did with the action,
so
but I was enjoying
really.
the pace of it from minute one, even if it wasn't the action-packed bit, which really kicked off towards the end.
Yeah, and I sort of enjoyed the, sort of relatively sedate sort of slice of life stuff just in the camp. And I enjoyed the sort of, Finn sort of seems okay, but my brother likes him way too much, to, oh no, Finn is actually intellectually bereft, and to, oh no, Finn is actually a dick and he just wants to steal loads of money. That sort of little arc played out quite well, I thought. I was engaged throughout, I think. Certainly, like those last sort of 20, 30 minutes are like the most exciting. But no, I enjoyed pretty much all of this, I think.
As soon as the episode started, I was
Fair
like,
enough.
actually, I feel like nice and like it was in a contained environment. I was like, okay, it's just gonna be here, and I felt sort of safe in that environment.
Yeah.
Because we were here, we weren't on the streets, we weren't trying to find like shelter in caves and stuff. We had a tent, we had people with us, we had coffee. It just felt like we had.
But don't you think that took some of the tension out a little bit?
I think I was quite happy to lose that tension. I know, despite everything I was saying about how they maybe could have played on that stuff a bit more. I quite liked there not being any tension for a little bit, because most of like the first series of Life is Strange was pretty chill in hindsight, like compared to this, where it's like you feel like you're constantly under threat.
I don't know, man. Not by episode 3. By episode 3, we were full on into the time
True,
traveling.
yeah.
Oh my god, we're fucking
the
up
tension
everyone's
this
life
series
stuff.
has been way more. I mean, like it's just been really, 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 really tense and almost unbearable at points. It was nice just thinking, like, okay, Daniel's safe, I'm safe, we've got shelter, we've got people around us. We've obviously got like the weed farm, and there's tension there because we're not quite sure how off the rails these guys are. But I was like, okay, we've got people here, we've got water. There was no tension about where we're going to find someone to sleep, or I'm going to have to steal something from a shop to eat. I felt way more relaxed, and this is probably going to be. This is obviously probably the last relaxing bit. It's going to be mental from here on out. I imagine this was the downtime, and I really enjoyed every minute of this episode. Actually,
Cool. James, have you got anything more to add?
Not really. I mean, you summed up exactly how I felt about it, really. I mean, I did enjoy like the last half hour or so. I mean, overall, I enjoyed the episode. I didn't have a horrible time playing it. But, I mean, the other thing about it that I felt disappointed in, really, was the fact that it felt... There was no surprises in that episode, like apart from at the end. Like there was none. Everything was so signposted as to what was going to happen, and that was the other aspect that I just found made it feel a bit tedious. It's just this sort of like one of these people's going to like rat you out or something's going to go wrong and all that, and it just felt there was no like misdirection or anything at all. It was just really obvious and not so engaging. But I just found the characters, like you said, David, just not interesting at all. I mean, by the end, I agree, Cassidy was more interesting, especially like when you get the like towards the end when you're doing the obviously that and the stuff. But
when you finally get to do
the sex and that sort of stuff. But yeah, just in general, I don't think it was that as interesting. It was definitely one of the, like as you said, one of the weakest like Life is Strange episodes I've ever played. It was just less interesting, really. Mostly because of the characters, I just didn't like them. I just found them really boring.
I'm kind of with you there, James. I mean, as you said, didn't hate it. I think it did more than enough to sort of justify the experience, but I didn't love it as much as I usually do with Life is Strange games. But there we go. That's it, right?
There it is. I don't know where it could go next episode. It feels like could go anywhere. So I'm quite excited to see what happens.
Being split up from Daniel, if that is the case, is going to be horrific. I'm not looking forward to that, but also really looking forward to it. So I guess that's it. If you've discovered this show or run of Spoilercast that we're doing for Life is Strange Season 2, then definitely check out, and you don't know who we are, then definitely check out the main podcast. It's a weekly podcast, goes up every Wednesday, called The Computer Game Show, available pretty much everywhere. So jump on that. If anyone's listening from Reddit, then, give us a little upvote and say, yeah, I listen from Reddit, mate, in the comments, put that. And tell your Life is Strange friends, because we want people to hear this. It's been fun going through each episode, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing how Sean has gone off the rails on the next one. But yeah, I think that's it. We're going to say goodbye.
It's a shame next episode's not until the 22nd of August. That feels
it kills me, but it'll go quick. It'll go quick. We'll get there. We'll get there. Thanks for living it, everyone. I'll see you soon. Take care. Good night.
Goodbye.
Cheers.
I love you.
Yeah, goodbye.
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 Goodbye.